2016, 2017. Bill? Oh, excuse me. Eric?
Okay, we have this budget amendment proposed relative to the Public Works building activities in which the scope has increased since the original budget was adopted back in June, and making this necessary change. And if there's any questions, I can answer those.
Questions? Councilmember Hagan.
Thanks, Mayor. Thanks, Mayor. Appreciate that. On the this particular budget, you know, it was set up originally, from my understanding, to pay for this facility, the City Hall, and it's also my understanding that we retired that debt. Is that right, Eric? You know?
You're saying that we established the building authority? I believe it was established at that time when this City Hall was built and created, and that debt has been paid off.
So there are funds that have been accumulating now since that has been
well,
retired?
there are some funds in there. The primary source of funds for this is the bond issuance, the bond proceeds that we did. Was it? I don't remember what month that was for sure, but it was in the past few months for $25 million, or slightly under that.
Thank you. Thanks, Mayor.
Other questions? I will now open the public hearing for item 3A. If you're here to speak on this item during the Municipal Building Authority meeting, now would be the opportunity. Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing and return to the board for a motion or discussion. Move to approve Resolution 91 in its entirety.
Second.
I have a motion by Chair Rolfe and a second by Board Member Nichols. Discussion of the motion. Seeing none, let's vote.
Board Member Anderson?
Yes.
Board Member Jacob?
Aye.
Chair Rolfe?
Yes.
Board Member Nichols?
Yes.
Board Member Burton?
Yes.
Board Member Haga?
Yes.
Board Member McConaughey?
Yes.
Vote passes 7 in favor.
I would entertain a motion to adjourn the Municipal Building Authority meeting and convene the City Council meeting of January 25th, 2017.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Jacob, Board Member Jacob, and a second by Board Member Anderson. Discussion of the motion? Let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I call to order the City Council meeting, January 25th, 2017. The first item tonight will be the Pledge of Allegiance, and tonight that will be led by Moses Fangoop. Go ahead, Moses. Would you pronounce your name? Sorry, yeah, at the mic. I'm sorry, I probably didn't.
Fangupfo. Yeah, Moses Fangupfo.
Okay. I apologize. Go ahead and read the pledge.
Please stand. Please repeat after me the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated.
Thank you very much, Moses. We appreciate that. Item 3A, we have a oath of office for Ryan Ferguson for the Board of Adjustment. Is that you, Melanie? Would the council please step down? Communications, City Manager?
Thank you, Mayor. Now that the legislative session has started, there's bills now floating in and out, and I'll be sending those that have any pertinence to our city on a regular basis. That's all, Mayor.
City Attorney?
Thank you, Mayor. Just to advise the council, we have lost our litigator for a short period of time. Earlier this week, Paul Dodd went up for a rebound, came down and ripped his Achilles tendon. So he will not be in the office for at least a week. He has surgery on Friday. As soon as he can get back, he'll be back in the office, but he is responding to email if you need to reach him.
Thank you. We give him all our best in recovery. David Oka?
Yes, the Marriott Hotel at Jordan Landing is now being framed. We anticipate that the opening date for the hotel will be August. Good news.
Ryan Flake?
Nothing tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
Eric?
You will hopefully notice at your seat that we distributed a hard copy of the comprehensive annual financial report for 2015-2016. You've previously seen it, the electronic version, but we've distributed those hard copies out, and that's all.
Thank you. Wendell?
I don't have anything this evening, Mayor. Thank you.
Thanks. Chief McElreath?
Nothing tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
Chief Diamond?
Nothing tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
Councilmember Anderson?
Thank you, Mayor. I neglected to report last council meeting about being able to go out with our snowplow crew during one of the storms early in February and just being able to witness some of the, just observe some of the things they go through trying to keep streets clean, and I appreciate Public Works for allowing that to happen. Thank you.
Councilmember Jacob?
Thank you, Mayor. Earlier this afternoon, I was in a meeting with Councilmember Anderson and some folks from our Public Works and Street Department regarding intersections that are planned for 7800 South out on the boundary between my district and District 4. And we had a good conversation, talked about a lot of the options and the possibilities, and I'm excited that there is some consensus as far as moving forward rather quickly on some of the intersection improvements that are coming to that area. So I just wanted to report on that. Thanks.
Councilmember Nichols?
Thank you, Mayor. Just briefly, I want to apologize right now ahead of time. I've come down with a cold, and it's a nasty one. I've had this thing for over a week. So when Ryan extended his hand a minute ago, I refused to take it. That was for his benefit. There was nothing personal. I didn't want him to, by some weird chance, get that. So if anybody is willing to take that chance, please extend your hand out and I'll shake it tonight. Otherwise, I won't take any offense if you don't want to shake mine. That being said, just a second for composure there. I just want to thank our police and fire department. We had an incident in the last couple weeks in my family. Very grateful to our city for what they do, their professionalism, and the way they come through. Everybody's okay. Life is good. I'm just always excited that our city is always top notch, right at the best. Thank you.
Councilmember Hagan?
Nothing. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember Burton?
Thank you, Mayor. So last Saturday I got to go to a meeting put on by Vision Utah, and it was quite enlightening. They were teaching me how communities are supposed to be, so thankfully I live in one. And I also got to attend a meeting earlier today, which was the local legislators' day put on by Utah League of Cities and Towns. And we had a couple of our staff people there doing a great job. And it was a GIS who was there showing off their wares, and they won another award today. So they continue to win awards, and they received another one today. So congratulations to them. And I had the privilege of attending a couple of town halls that were put on by our Representative Kim Coleman over the last couple of weeks. And I see we have some Boy Scouts here with us today. And I suspect it's because there's a merit badge powwow coming up, and this is one of the requirements so they can get their citizenship merit badges by attending a government meeting. So thank you for coming. We welcome you. And you're welcome to come at other times when you're not working on your merit badge as well. We'd love to see you come and participate. So welcome, Boy Scouts. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember McConaughey.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a quick semi-personal note to Councilmember Nichols. I've had that cold for about 3 weeks, and it does get much better, even though you still sound like garbage at the end. So don't believe I'm sharing it when I shake anybody's hand. I just sound terrible, but I feel fantastic. So other than that, nothing tonight. Thank you, Mayor.
We'll move to citizens' comment. I have one signed up to speak tonight. If you're here to speak on any item other than the 5 public hearings we have, now would be your opportunity. You'll be allowed 3 minutes. Steve Jones.
Mayor, Council, Steve Jones, 3234 West, 6920 South, here in West Jordan. I noticed that one of the items on the agenda tonight in the business section is 8C, and I really am truly grateful that the agenda comes out early because it allows me time to calm down. I fail to see why we keep bringing this discussion up. There's been nothing talked about, or very little. It's been pointed out over the numerous times that it's been presented that one is the form of government being proposed in the, 10 largest cities are corrupt and they're miserable. I have nothing more to look for as the Salt Lake City and see this form of government and see the controversies down there. We've talked about it, and I don't think it's necessarily in West Jordan's best interest. It's been talked about that once we leave the form of government that we have, there's no returning back to it because it's no longer on the list. I fail to see any justification for wanting to change this form of government. None. And I find it personally offensive that we keep bringing this up. This is a demonstration of what our government has become by bringing things up over and over and over again until finally people get tired of it and it seems to get passed. This is not an issue of just merely putting it on a ballot. There's nothing that says that we couldn't have talked about and addressed all the things that's been talked about in the packet long before we made the decision to put it on the ballot. And it's the proper way. We did not develop the Constitution by saying, oh, we're going to bring the Constitution in and then go back and talk about it. We talked about it. We laid it out. We had debate, we picked out the best course of action, and then we finally formed the document. So this to me is backwards. We should be having, if somebody is really upset about this, we should be having that discussion right now so that we can decide whether a 7-member works or whether a 5-member works or whether the group that we have right now or the form of government works right now. And I've reiterated in the past, I think the form of government we have right now best represents me. I have 4 votes that I cast every so often to represent me. And right now I have a city manager over here that takes care of the day-to-day operations, and if for some reason he doesn't perform, I don't have to wait 4 years to get rid of him. Now, our city manager, as far as I'm concerned, is doing what we've paid him to do. And I, if I can convince 4 of you that he's not, then he'll be replaced. But when we go the course that you're doing right now, we end up with what Salt Lake City does. We end up with a bunch of controversy, fighting, and they're going to be dealing with it for 3 more years. So tonight, put this thing down, put it to bed. Thank you.
Thank you. That's all that have signed up to speak tonight. Anyone wishing to speak, now would be your opportunity. Please state your name and address, and you'll be allowed 3 minutes.
My name's Roger Diamond, 11417 Terra Woods Lane. I'm here to discuss the commercial storm drain fee. I'm a partner, general manager, or general partner in the West Jordan Macy's up on 7800 South, 3200 West. When we developed that property, at the time, West Jordan City would not let us tie into their storm drain system. It was not of capacity. So that was fine. Due to that, it took us many thousands of dollars and an acre of ground, which is very valuable, to build a retention pond, to retain our own water off of that center. And not only that, we drain the intersection at 3200 West and 7800 South for the city of West Jordan. We don't get a dime for that. 4 years ago, all of a sudden, out of the blue, I get a storm drain fee for $109 a month on my water bill. I called the city, asked them what was going on. They assured me that I was getting a benefit. Was I? I don't know. Last year, that $109 went up to $344. That's when I had the pleasure of coming down and meeting Steve Blaine. And I talked to him, told him my concerns, asked him what the deal was. Why is a property owner that is not using the storm drain being charged $344 a month? And he assured me the city council in West Jordan City was looking at that, see if they could address that issue to be fair with these people that are in my situation. I left not very happy, but with assurance that city council was working on this. Last week, to my astonishment, I walked out and got my water bill, and what did they do? They raised it up to $366. That's how hard they've been working on it. To me, that's like me going out and buying a Lexus car, using it, and telling the city, no, you can't use it, but I'm charging you $366 a month because I want that benefit. I hope that the city council will take this into advisement and see the errors of their way, and this is an injustice that they are doing to people like myself or property owners like myself that have their own retention system and are not getting the benefit from that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to address the council? Seeing no one, I will close the citizens' comment portion and we will move to the consent calendar. Councilmember Anderson?
Yeah, I just wanted to declare on consent 6J that I do sit on the hospital board, governing board, and it's not a policy-making board, but I just wanted to declare that prior to the vote.
David Ricky is...
If I understood correctly, you meant 6I, not J, but I think it's just the way the lettering.
It's J.
It is J? I stand corrected. But it's my understanding you do not set policy directly, you provide an advisory opinion as a board member. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Then that would not be in an obvious conflict, but I appreciate the disclosure for transparency purposes. I might suggest you tell the board when you next appear that you voted here on that matter as well.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Jacob?
I was going to ask to poll 6J for discussion, so if I'd have gone first, we would have spread, no, there's J. So I'd like to poll J for discussion. Thanks.
Okay, and I've been asked to poll D and E from Councilmember Haga. So D, E, and J have been polled. Motion would be in order.
Approve consent calendar with the exception of D and E and J.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Haga and a second by Councilmember Jacob.
Anderson.
Oh, Anderson, excuse me. Discussion to the motion. Let's vote.
Councilmember Haga?
Yes. Yes.
Councilmember Anderson?
Yes.
Councilmember McConaughey?
Aye.
Councilmember Jacob?
Aye.
Councilmember Nichols?
Yes.
Mayor Rolfe?
Yes.
Councilmember Burton?
Yes.
Vote passes 7 in favor.
Item 7A, public hearing item. Receive public input and consider for approval Resolution 17-16, amending the General Fund, Information Technologies Fund, Sewer Fund, Stormwater Fund, and Water Fund for fiscal year 2016-2017. Eric?
Okay, we have a few proposed budget amendments as outlined in the staff report. I would just go with if there's any questions.
Questions for Eric? Eric, I just had one question on the Municipal Building Authority. My understanding was that with the bonding amount that we bonded for, that should be enough to pay for all of, and in the staff report that I got just today, this morning, stated that we might need some funds from the general fund to fill a gap there.
In the staff report for this item?
Well, it was the email that you sent answering questions on this particular item.
No, there is no interaction between any of the city funds and the Municipal Building Authority fund on that. It's all self-contained in the Building Authority.
Okay, thank you. I will now, Councilmember Haga.
Yeah, I wanted to acknowledge the help of the staff on answering some of my questions on this particular item. I'll wait to hear if there's any public comments, but I probably want to make some statements afterwards. Thanks, Mayor.
Now I will open the public hearing for item 7A. If you're here to speak on this item, now would be the opportunity. Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing for item 7A and return to the council for discussion or motions. Councilmember Hagan.
Thanks, Mayor. You know, I feel on this, not that I think we should amend our budget, because I think there's some things that we need to do, house cleaning, but at this time, even though with all diligent, the staff really did answer a lot of the questions, but it was all verbiage, and I'm more of a numbers person. I like to see the numbers, and I still haven't seen any spreadsheet as far as line items based on the budget, which is what was my request. So I'll probably be an opponent of passing this amendment. Thanks, Mayor.
Move to approve Resolution 17-16.
Second.
A motion by Mayor Rolfe, a second by Councilmember McConaughey. Discussion to the motion. Seeing none, let's vote.
Councilmember McConaughey?
Aye.
Councilmember Burton?
Yes.
Councilmember Haga?
No.
Mayor Rolfe?
Yes.
Councilmember Jacob?
Aye.
Councilmember Anderson?
Yes.
Councilmember Nichols?
Yes.
Vote passes 6-1 in favor.
Public hearing item 7B, receive public input and consider for approval ordinance 17-03 regarding a general plan land use map amendment for .44 acres from parks and open space to public facilities and rezone .44 acres from R1110D single family residential 10,000 square foot lots zone to PF Public Facility Zone for West Jordan Public Works Building located at 8060 South, 4000 West, City of West Jordan, applicant. David Oka.
Thank you, Mayor. Raymond Canlis will be addressing this issue.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. As you're aware, the City of West Jordan is constructing a new public works facility on 40th West. And we have a cleanup item that we need to take care of at this point. There's a small half-acre parcel that's located right here, just on the south side, and the site plan shows this as being constructed or developed as a parking lot for the public works facility. Right up until recently, there was a single-family home on it. The property is zoned R110D, which we would like to rezone to a public facilities zoning district just to accommodate that parking area. This is a copy of a site plan that shows future land use map. It's, as you can see, it's zoned for parks and public open lands, but what we'd like to do is change the future land use map of the general plan to reflect the zoning as public facilities. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Questions? Thanks.
Thank you.
I will now open the public hearing for item 7B. Anyone wishing to speak on public hearing item 7B, now would be the opportunity. I will close the public hearing for item 7B and return to the council for discussion or motion. Councilmember McConaughey.
No discussion, I was just ready to make a motion.
That would be in order.
Move, based on the information we're finding set forth in the staff report and upon the evidence and explanations received today, I move that the City Council adopt ordinance 17-03, amending the future land use map for approximately 0.44 acres from parks and open land to public facilities, and rezone approximately 0.44 acres from R110D to PF on the property located at 8060 South, 4000 West.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember McConaughey and a second by Councilmember Nichols. Discussion to the motion. Ms. Wolf?
Mayor Rolfe?
Yes.
Councilmember Haga?
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson?
Yes.
Councilmember Nichols?
Yes.
Councilmember McConaughey?
Aye.
Councilmember Burton?
Yes.
Councilmember Jacob?
Aye.
The vote passes 7 in favor.
Public hearing item 7C, receive public input and consider for approval ordinance 17-04 regarding a general plan land use map amendment for approximately 3.211 acres from low-density residential to public facilities and approximately 2.263 acres from low-density residential to agricultural, and rezone approximately 3.211 acres from A20 agricultural 20-acre lots zone to public facilities, and approximately 2.263 acres from A20 agricultural 20-acre lots to an A1 agricultural 1-acre lot zone for property located at 8000 West Old Bingham Highway, South Jordan City. Applicant. David?
Yes, Mayor and Council. Before we get started on this, I just want to advise the council that this was approved by the Planning Commission under a fairly finite parameters. And this application came in, they paid their fee, and it's gone forward. Planning Commission did what they were supposed to do under those finite conditions. However, as you know, this site falls within the 1,700 acres that is now under consideration for future planning. Therefore, I can't tell you how to vote, but it would be appropriate, if you so choose, to deny this change at this time. That being said, for any technical issues, Ray is available for any questions.
Councilmember Jacob.
Thank you, Mayor. For you, David. Did this application come in before we put a kind of moratorium on any new application?
That is correct.
So it does predate that moratorium?
Yes.
Okay, that was my question. Thanks.
Councilmember Haga.
Thanks, Mayor. David, so if I'm understanding correctly, I read this, our friends from the south of West Jordan are proposing to rezone land that we own, I guess, or we annex. We don't own the land, but it's part of West Jordan.
Borders, yes, sir.
It's part of West Jordan's boundary.
Yes, sir.
But are they purchasing the whole corner if they get it approved, or just that one section? Is my
Just the one section for a reservoir.
Okay, thank you.
I'll open the public hearing for item 7C. Anyone wishing to speak on this item, now would be the opportunity. Please state your name and address.
I'm Lorraine Andres, and my address is 10315 South Temple View Drive in South Jordan. And I'm concerned because the very corner tip of that half acre we own. And I don't understand it all, but I'm thinking if they take that tank site and don't take the whole corner, anyway, I just want to express that I'm concerned about that change without some way to do something with that. It's just a small half acre, but anyway, I don't know if that makes any difference or not, but I am concerned. And yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm a recent widow, and yeah, that's all.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing? Please.
My name's Don Tingy. I represent South Jordan City, so 1600 West Town Center Drive in South Jordan. We've been working on this location site for the reservoir and negotiating with the property owner for about the last 15 months. And they also had, the owner recently became a widow herself, or and which has delayed the transaction. I'll just note that based on our engineering, and I can have our civil engineer talk with Hanson Allen Luce talk more specifically to the engineering, but this site was determined based on engineering needs for the water tank. And so we've, over the last year or so, we've visited with staff a number of times about the project and have appreciated their assistance and coordination and cooperation in putting the application together. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? I will close the public hearing portion of item 7C and return to the council for discussion and on motion. And I need to state that I've always worked very well with South Jordan, and I would like to work with them as well in this instance, other than several members of this council have been involved in talks about development of this particular parcel with a developer, and I think doing this particular rezone would impact that future talks for that site. So I just wanted to make everyone aware of those that haven't been in those talks before, that we have had ongoing talks for about 2 years on this parcel, the whole parcel. Councilmember Haga.
Yeah, so as I thought about this, we all want to store water, and of course our city is planning future tanks ourselves, and I don't know if this is a location, I would trust that just to our engineering department. Why our neighbors would want it versus us, I'm still unsure, other than maybe the land is, they're offering the land to the city. But from my perspective, and I sell cars for Jerry Seiner, and it's kind of like putting Larry Miller's cars in Jerry Seiner's lot. It just doesn't make sense to have a neighboring water tank in our city. So as much as I value my relationship over the years with South Jordan, which I have a good relationship, I'm just not one that would be a proponent of this. I would oppose it. So thanks, Mayor.
Councilmember Jacob.
Thank you, Mayor. Quick question for staff. We'll start with David. The property directly across the street to the south of this, is that owned by, is that South Jordan? Not owned by, but is that in South Jordan's boundaries?
To the south, yes.
Yeah.
It's within South Jordan boundaries.
Yeah, not necessarily where the cemetery is, but just, I guess, east of the cemetery there on this map. It is in South Jordan Mountains.
That is correct.
Okay, and to the west of this parcel, maybe just to the west of our water tank there, that's unincorporated Sutton County, probably, is that part of the Copperton Township?
Everything to the west is unincorporated. The yellow line is city boundary.
Okay, so there are options, as it were, theoretically, for a water tank that in the vicinity that are not necessarily in West Jordan.
It's an engineering question.
Oh, okay. Hypothetically speaking. Okay. Thank you.
Councilmember McConaughey.
If there are no further comments, I'm ready for a motion.
That would be in order.
Okay. I disagree with the staff report on finding E, which concluded that the proposed amendment will not adversely impact the neighborhood and the community as a whole by significantly altering acceptable land use patterns. I have some disagreements with that conclusion, and based on that, I move to deny ordinance 17-04.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember McConaughey and a second by Councilmember Anderson. Discussion to the motion. Councilmember Jacob.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a comment here. I want to just go on record in saying that I recognize how important it is for us to be good neighbors. This is kind of our city motto. However, I also recognize the merits of this particular motion, and I agree with Councilmember McConaughey, so I'll be voting in favor of the motion. That said, I want South Jordan to know we still love you. Thank you.
Councilmember Haga.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if perhaps maybe, I mean, I know we kind of share water, if maybe, I know we're in a motion, so I'm already told you I'm going to oppose, or I'm going to be a proponent of this motion, but I'd hate to have our neighbors go away when maybe perhaps we can talk and look at an interlocal agreement with this tank or something to that effect. Because the tank is a multi-million-dollar investment. But I would see why, as a city, and two cities especially, where we couldn't build out that whole corner. So, but I am a proponent to the denial for the same reason. But I hope, again, maybe staff and our city to the south will come still together and we can talk. Thanks, Mayor.
Let's go.
Councilmember Jacob.
Aye.
Councilmember McConaughey.
Aye.
Councilmember Burton.
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Haga.
Yes.
Councilmember Nichols.
Yes.
Mayor Roth.
Yes.
The vote passes 7 in favor.
Public hearing item 7D. Receive public input and consider for approval ordinance 17-05 regarding a general plan land use map amendment for 205.3 acres from community commercial parks and open lands, future park, high-density residential, medium-density residential, and low-density residential to very high-density residential, medium-density residential, and community commercial, and rezone from A20 agricultural 20-acre lot zone to PC planned community zone for the Jensen property located at approximately 6150 South, 6150 West, 7800 South, JF Land Company, calling right applicant. David?
Yes, Ray McCandless will handle this item.
Mayor and members of the council, if it's okay with you, I'd like to change the order and let the applicant go first for this project, if that'll work for you.
That'd be acceptable.
Thank you.
Any opposed to? That'd be in order. Thanks.
Good evening.
Glad to be here. Sorry that was a little loud. My name is Brian Bayless. I represent the developer for the Jensen property. I appreciate your time and opportunity to share our plans briefly tonight for this exciting community. In an effort to be brief, there's a lot of information here. It's a 205-acre development. I've written down my remarks, so I hope you'll forgive me. I'm going to read them. It's kind of boring, I understand. I apologize for that, but I didn't want to miss anything. Hopefully our presentation will help. There we go. Okay. So hopefully our presentation will help supplement the information that's been included in the staff reports that you guys have all received. Following my presentation, I understand staff will be making a presentation on those things that I missed, as well as to address any questions that you all have. I'd like to spend a few minutes first on who we are as a development group, some of the market opportunities, and our approach to community building, and hopefully we'll have some time for those questions. So first of all, who are we? JF Capital and CW Land Co. I think this is important because it kind of helps paint the picture for what we can accomplish on this community and our track record. So JF Capital and CW Land Co. are jointly developing this community. Both are professional real estate development firms and have developed, constructed, and acquired hundreds of acres of real estate since their existence in 2007. The principals of these two companies own Henry Walker Homes and Jack Fisher Homes, and at one time grew Henry Walker to a top 5 builder in Utah. Colin Wright, the owner of the CW Land Co., has been close friends with the Jensen family for the past 15 years, whose property this is, and our communities speak for themselves. Just a quick example, down in St. George is a large master plan community, Brio. It's an active adult community. At the heart of it is a highly amenitized community. We felt like this was applicable to our community because this similarly will be a very highly amenitized community. It's an important part of who we are and how we market things. This is kind of a close-up of the amenity center. It's got outdoor pool, 8 pickleball courts, 2 tennis courts, walking trails, playground, and a dog park. Again, just kind of an example of the kind of development that we do. Quickly, I wanted to take a minute to introduce our consultant team. We couldn't do this alone. There's no way. So Urban Design Associates, or UDA, and Horrocks Engineers have helped, been involved in this property from the initial charrette, which took place over a year and a half ago, that I know some of you may have participated in. They're intimately familiar with the project. UDA, for those of you who don't know, is an out-of-state firm from Philadelphia, and they've been in business since 1964. Horrocks Engineers is a local firm here that does work regionally and is ultimately very familiar with the site and played a critical role in understanding utility solutions. And then finally, Somas is principally an engineering firm out of California, but they're here helping us put this all together and make sure we're not missing anything. And they're here tonight, so for those big questions that you guys ask me that I can't answer, they're here to help keep us straight. This is kind of an out-of-place site, maybe typically for most presentations, but I just briefly wanted to touch on it. I'm not going to read these. As you all know, households follow job creation. I think it's an important point to make. Just a few things here. With one of the lowest unemployment rates in the nation, here are just a few of the accolades Utah is acquiring, and you guys can read those. It's pretty impressive. I think we take that for granted here in Utah. A lot of states don't have the benefits of this. And likewise, West Jordan has a lot to be proud of. It's a wonderful place and sustains one of the highest growth rates in the state and continues to be a great place to raise a family. And there's a couple of local accolades for West Jordan. So the reasons why I bring this up is to highlight a few points. First, West Jordan has grown and will continue to grow in the foreseeable future, as you guys well know. Second, as job growth continues, people are being drawn to Utah and properties being developed at increasingly faster rates. And thirdly, this is kind of the main point, lot sizes are consistently shrinking across the United States, with Utah being no exception. No doubt there are many reasons for this, one of which is based on pricing. As salaries are struggling to keep up with escalating home prices, the home buyer is forced to live further and further from employment centers or choose less expensive housing options. One of the raw materials needed for housing is land, and so the buyer can sacrifice additional land, lot size, which has marginal benefits to many of today's buyers, and not sacrifice on the living space of the home. So places like Daybreak, and there are a lot of other great master plan communities consistently ranked as top-selling communities across the nation, have proven that buyers want smaller lots with good architecture and highly amenitized communities, and they're willing to pay for it. And so that's kind of the objective of this slide. Quickly, again, just a little bit of context as we kind of take a look at this. The Jensen property, as you can see there, is in green. A few things to point out. West Jordan has done a fantastic job of investing in the future growth. It's pretty impressive. As you look at everything that's happening at the Civic Center, you look at everything that's happening along the rail, with what's kind of happened with the opportunity of having Facebook and kind of West Jordan recognizing the opportunities there to kind of prep for market opportunities. You've got South Valley Regional Airport, you've got Jordan Landing, Salt Lake Community College, the medical center. I mean, there's just a lot that's happened here. And it's important to see the context of what is happening in the surrounding community, as this property has much to benefit and add to West Jordan. So the Jensen property, as we pointed out, is this piece right here. The property was owned and farmed by the Jensen family for 5 generations, some of which are here tonight, and we're here at the Planning Commission meeting. Our goal for the design of the community was to create a new neighborhood that incorporates the agricultural heritage and natural beauty of the site with high-quality development. The parcel is characterized by rolling bluffs, panoramic mountain views, and a scenic ravine in the southeast portion of the site. This ravine was the original location of the Jensen family homestead. So this site, as you all probably know, it's got great regional connectivity for trails and park space. This is the power line corridor that will ultimately be turned into a trail. This is along the Mountain View corridor and has a lot of trails and other opportunities to connect up to the surrounding communities. Furthermore, it's located between 7000 South to the south, or to the north, excuse me, and 78 South, and just east of the Mountain View corridor, which provides excellent automobile connectivity, easing potentially some of the east-west congestion that West Jordan has been kind of a victim to in the past. Adjacent development includes a multi-family development to the north, so there's multi-family townhomes outside of West Jordan City. And the new Smiths and Falcon Ridge Elementary located east of the site. So you've got the Smith site right there. There's Falcon Ridge Elementary right here, and then you've got a junior high. I had the opportunity to reach out to the Jordan School District, and they're planning, it's not on their 5-year plan, but they'll be putting that junior high right there adjacent to the property. And so as we consider the existing features of the site, we anticipated this location as one where residential intensity seemed to make sense for the following reasons. The site is bordered with major transportation corridors on 3 sides. The Smiths and Elementary School border the property on the 4th side, and then the close proximity to the Mountain View corridor improves access to employment centers, thus easing the typical east-west traffic here in West Jordan. Just quickly, I wanted to go over a brief history. Again, many of you participated in the charrette that was kicked off August 2015. It's been a long year and a half. We organized the design workshop, or charrette, as a week-long process that presented the facts as previously identified, as well as brought together the Jensen family, design consultants, builders, and developers. And I'm going to go quickly through this, but I think it's important to kind of set the table for how we've taken a look at the community and the existing framework that West Jordan has established and how we've kind of married the two. Over the course of the week, that team met with representatives from the City of West Jordan, including staff and elected officials, and input from these sessions was incorporated into the concept plan. Further, the city's general plan was consulted for guidance on the design elements and goals. So as we, through the charrette, the reoccurring issues that were narrowed down among the many that we heard were kind of down to these following items. Build on the general plan, build open spaces by phase. I guess in past developments, there have been big parks and amenities promised, and those promises haven't been fulfilled. So that was a big concern that was brought up repeatedly. Avoid cookie-cutter design. I'm not going to read through these. You guys can look through those. But we felt like these were great guiding principles to establish our community. This is a busy slide, so obviously not going to read this, but these are just sections from the general plan that we specifically pulled out and then used these to create the standards and goals and objectives for our community. And those three goals were to create a legacy project in West Jordan, create a neighborhood where people get to know each other, and build high-quality architecture, open space, and trails. There were, I don't want to bore you with all of the details, but there's a lot of information that's gone into this. Promote outdoor living, create safe routes to school, connect new trails to regional trails, design safe, calm streets that serve bikes and pedestrians. We've done a lot to try to incorporate all of this feedback that we received. And ultimately, this was the plan. So I'm going to briefly talk about a couple of important features of the plan. This has remained largely the same as it has for the last year and a half. and the plan illustrates the principles developed through the planning process. The neighborhood includes a balance of development and open space. The centerpiece of the plan is a green spine that runs all the way up through the middle of the plan. This is an old ravine, and we've kind of taken the effort to identify this as an opportunity to create some really cool open space. And so we've got three, just quickly I'm going to brush through these as well. We've got three locations where we kind of said, hey, what is this actually going to look like? What is this development going to look and feel like? So we took three locations in the plan and kind of said, okay, what will these feel like? And we had an architectural firm, UDA, helped us with these renderings. And so, again, we're really excited about this community. I could go through these ad nauseum, but I'm gonna jump through them quickly. And then this overlooks, as you can see here, it kind of overlooks the park and all of the amenities that will be included in there. The amenities that will be included in the project are a pool and playground amenity, the community gardens, the amphitheater, as well as the walking and biking trails throughout the community. This is the history of where we've come on this project, but I wanted to address one more issue before we get to the current plan. Why was there a 1.5 year delay in the entitlement from the initial charrette? What happened? That might be a question that you guys are wondering. There were two issues that delayed our entitlements. The first was we were asked by the city to delay our submittal while the city's cap and grade ordinance was revised to permit our community. And so I've been told that the city looked at the proposed plan, among others, as an example of development they'd like to see in the future, but that the current ordinance would not be permitted to be built here. And so as a result, the ordinance was changed shortly thereafter, and I think that was included in the staff report that Ray put together. And then the second was, once that delay, just a few weeks, was resolved, UDOT came along and disputed the valuation of the property that it took from the Jensen family for the Mountain View corridor. And so the Jensens asked us to pause the entitlements while that was being resolved. And so as a result, the valuation was resolved this winter, and we are in the clear to process the development application we are presenting to you today. So those were the reasons for the delay. Quickly, there are three different product types, residential product types. The first is the single-family preserve lots. These are the largest lot type at 70 feet wide, quarter-acre lots. This is the only residential option that has a front-loaded garage, and these lots will comprise 34% of the single-family homes built in the community. The second is the second residential option is the single-family cottage lots, and these are smaller detached homes with lots averaging 45 feet wide and are between 1/10 to a quarter-acre lot. These homes have garages that are alley-loaded, and these lots will comprise 49% of the single-family homes built in the community. The third residential option, is townhome lots. These are attached homes with lots averaging 20 feet wide. These homes have garages that are alley-loaded, and these lots will comprise 17% of the single-family homes built in the community to be consistent with the cap and grade ordinance that was passed. There is a commercial component on the farthest south, closest to 7800 South. It includes 11 acres of commercial. And while visibility is good here, alignment of the Mountain View corridor prohibits access to and minimizes frontage along 7800 South, limiting the attractiveness of the property to some commercial users. Furthermore, the newly built Smith's Marketplace will fill the commercial demand in the area, and commercial uses are anticipated to desire locations closer to Smith's. The commercial character will include small shops that will serve local needs. So this community is anticipated, timing-wise, this community is anticipated to take a 7 to 10 year period to ultimately build out. At full build-out, we are seeking approval for 569 single-family detached homes, 116 attached townhomes, and 204 senior housing 55-plus units. The community contains over 35 acres of open space and improved park space, as well as a 4-acre church site, which is located right there on the plan. You guys can probably see that already. I recently came to a council meeting where Ochre West was being presented by Holmes Homes. And one of the questions that the council astutely asked was, why is the PC zone necessary? Why is the PC zone the right fit here? And so I wanted to address that question just up front. These 205 acres are being developed as a master plan community, and it's appropriate to revise the general plan to allow for creativity and flexibility in the land planning. This general plan amendment will allow the master plan to incorporate open spaces, clustering, common architectural themes, and convenience, the general plan did not contemplate a master plan community like the plan that is being proposed here. Furthermore, our current master plan does not differ from the city's general plan other than the fact that we've incorporated good design and land planning for the project, which will enhance the community. This location is an appropriate place per the city's general plan for a higher intensity of residential products. The adjacent properties have been developed into uses suitable for more intensity, such as the new Smiths, Marketplace, Falcon Ridge Elementary, and Junior High to the east. This master plan community will provide many benefits to the local community during its 7 to 10 year build out. During this period, significant infrastructure and construction dollars will be invested into the local economy, and roughly 11 acres of commercial land are being preserved at the corner of 7800 South and Mountain View Corridor. And this will provide acreage for future retail and entertainment, which will provide long-term tax base for the economy. From a residential perspective, this plan is not the typical development. The attention to detail that the project team has had are what make this development unique. Since the design charrette in the fall of 2015, we have made it a point to engage invested stakeholders and understand what the community wants and needs. Amenities have been designed to maximize the unique site attributes. We have enabled the master plan community to be shaped by the existing attributes of the land, the adjacency of the uses and future uses, the city's ordinances and objectives, and ultimately the community. From the large amenitized open spaces to the alley-loaded product, this community will be more costly to build, but the sense of place will help support West Jordan's objectives. This is the phasing plan. It goes through each one of the phases. For the most part, the phases, with the exception of all of the residential phases, with the exception of phases 2 and 3, include roughly 100 lots in each one of those phases, and we kind of anticipate each one of those phases taking approximately a year to absorb. The development will start from the south and gradually work northward. In general, all utility systems in the area appear to be constructed at master plan sizes and in the proper locations, and many of the public streets in the area have been newly constructed with widths that are well beyond the need for current capacity in anticipation of near-term growth and the accompanying increase in traffic. Additionally, a fire station has been constructed immediately west of the project and is fully operational to meet the needs of the community. The existence of these in-place improvements speaks to the city's commitment towards preparation for future growth. The one immediate need that is not met by the existing infrastructure is the ability to serve culinary water in the area of the project that falls within the Zone 5 water system boundary. This amounts to about half of the project site, and it's essentially the line that separates phases 1 through 4. So as it comes along here, this is the boundary. Everything north of that does not currently have capacity to be serviced with culinary water. Our project, as well as multiple projects proposed adjacent to our property, will likely need these improvements much sooner than current plans dictate. We anticipate addressing this need in the development agreement. Once phase 4 is built, secondary access will be provided to the Ivory development to the west, to the east, and until that time a temporary access point is anticipated through phase 12, as you can see right there, which is the commercial development. So, thank you for bearing with me. We've created a list of items that will make this development unique. These aren't small items, and we're very excited about them. Just quickly, the next steps, and then we'll be done, I promise. Early this month, we received unanimous support from the Planning Commission to forward a positive recommendation to this group. Today, we are seeking approval for the future land use plan amendment, PC zone application, and concept development plan. Before development commences, we'll obviously be back to each one of you or in front of this group for the preliminary development plan and development agreement, and we're working on those applications as we speak. And we'll be ready to submit those here within the next few weeks. We just wanted to get this out of the way because there's a lot of detail that goes into that next step of applications. In the Planning Commission meeting, there was one resident who made a public comment and expressed concern regarding safety issues of the residents and homes facing 7,000 South, which is the northern side of the property. We are not anticipating a connection from our development to 7,000 South for another 5 to 7 years. It could even be longer than that. And we anticipate addressing road improvements and traffic calming measures in the development agreement that will be forthcoming. I just wanted to thank quickly staff. They've been great. There have been lots of issues that we've had to work through, and we're pleased that they found this consistent with what the city's general plan is. And with that, those are my remarks. So I appreciate your patience. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think the applicant went over most of the things that I was going to bring up. Just quickly, again, this is just a request for a future land use map amendment and then rezoning. It'll come back again before you. We'll talk about specific densities, and that'll come at the time that the preliminary development plan is submitted. So again, the question is whether or not you want to rezone it, change the future land use map. In this case, we think it's a good idea. We like how they've mixed the townhomes, the single-family dwellings within the development. We think it's consistent with the general plan. As the applicant mentioned, the Planning Commission did vote favorably for this. So with that, I'll answer any questions that you have.
Question from council? Councilmember Jacob.
Thank you, Mayor. Question for either you, Ray, or the fire chief. That secondary access they're proposing through phase 12 to provide the dual access for the fire in phase 1 and 2 and 3 and so on until the 7400 South gets built off to the east, or it goes all the way through to the north, either one. Yeah, it's not shown on this particular picture, but it had that white line that goes right through where the H is on phase 12. Yeah. Is that sufficient for a secondary access for phase 1? And my question is because it's awfully close to the first access, so I wonder if it qualifies as a secondary access.
My understanding is that they're working through that. We haven't finalized that, but we'll address that through the next phase.
The preliminary development plan. Right. Just because the concept plan is under consideration
This is
along
just
with
a
the PC zone.
This is just a concept plan.
But it is binding on the PC zone. So. All right, thanks.
Councilmember Hagan?
Yeah, could I ask this of the applicant?
Sure.
So my question, I was educated on this, I think 2.5 years ago, and I like the development idea and everything. I'm just wondering, you look at, again, the phases. I know we're rezoning this, it's the zoning issue, but why so many phases? I don't know if we have that many zones. Are you funded correctly? That would be the first question. Is that why it was delayed in the past, because of funding, or is it just demand?
That's a great question, and I appreciate the question. It's mainly infrastructure related. I mean, I would say there are a couple of different answers to your question. Number one is the infrastructure kind of breaks up that way, and so it makes sense to do it this way. For example, past phase 4 is where the water tank kind of stops. And so if there are any issues that come along with that, we kind of said, okay, there's a natural break that occurs there. We wanted to make sure we had the fire access, the secondary access that Councilmember Jacobs brought up. But a lot of the others, you can see phases 11, 7, and 12. Those were kind of different uses. And so we kind of said it makes sense to break those up into their own phases. And then the rest of the phases were just about a year's worth of absorption. So each one of those units that you see there has $30,000 to $50,000 of improvement costs that go in with those. And so that's what caused a lot of problems in the first recession, is people would come in and put in the infrastructure for all of this, and then it ended up taking 2 or 3 times longer than they expected to develop. And so we felt like that was a fair number. Builders are also interested in about that amount. We've gone out and spoken with probably 10 different builders to make sure we have the right fit here for this community. And they like that amount of units. And we've been quite strategic in how we've broken it up to try to have different product types, an equal amount of product types per unit. So I'm sure there are other reasons why we've kind of done it that way, but those are the ones that come to mind off the top of my head. But good question.
Councilmember Anderson.
Yeah, just had a question for the applicant while you were still up there.
Sure.
So the packet had some information on kind of a decorative wall. I assume that would be along 78 South. Is there any kind of fencing or anything that you're installing along the back of Mountain View Corridor, whether it be chain link or vinyl or a sound wall?
Great question. And that will be, we have a detailed sign plan as well as multiple other plans that will be coming at that next layer at the concept development or the preliminary development development plan. And so we have like cross sections of the signs and the different locations throughout the community. But we will definitely be putting in a wall to separate us from the Mountain View corridor. Sound walls are very expensive, and this is a frontage road. You know, the Mountain View corridor, as you guys all know, will be ultimately built within those frontage roads. So the exact wall, I don't know exactly what, but we will have that in the next round, that detail.
Okay.
So I don't know if that answers your question adequately.
For now. Thank you.
Yeah.
Councilmember McConaughey.
Thank you, Mayor. Clarifying question for staff with regard to what's been requested. It's just the future land use map and the zoning amendment. We're not approving a concept plan, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
I don't know that.
Partially correct.
Will you grab the mic?
It is the concept plan. The concept plan is required as part of the rezoning request, so it would be, I think it would be appropriate to approve the concept development plan and be comfortable with it.
Okay. So the proposed motion doesn't include any mention of the concept plan.
It's just, well, you can add that if you would like to firm that up. I know it doesn't, but you can certainly add that. It's just the concept plan was approved, is just required as part of the rezone. I think the Planning Commission actually did that, actually approved the concept development plan, and I apologize for not including that with the motions, but I think that probably should be included as part of your motion.
So then my question would be, is that binding? Does that still get flexibility if it's approved?
I think it does. It's just at the concept stage right now.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Jacob.
Thank you, Mayor. One question on the Planning Commission minutes. The motion to approve was amended to require a phased timeline of the open space and amenity finishes. I missed that part. Did we get a phased explanation of the amenities?
We got, it was not of the amenities, but of just the timeline of the phasing itself, but not the installation of
okay,
but it is included. I think it's a hidden slide where there's a slide.
I think you just killed his computer. Hit forward 30 times. There you go.
It's there, and so we heard the Planning Commission, Commissioner Green, loud and clear, and so we have that information in there. One of the reasons, or one of the things that we heard as we talked about through the charrette, is just the importance of making sure those amenities are built as the communities developed. And so as part of that, we have that plan. I don't know why it's not coming up. Yeah, it's the very last slide. Keep going all the way down. And then maybe it won't let you go. So hit exit, sorry. And then click on that.
Just double click on it.
I don't know if you can see that very well. But this is the timing of the construction. These are the phases that will be included in that development. And then here are the quantity and some of these amenities that are associated with each one of these.
Got it.
We thought through that quite a bit. And one of the things that we're really motivated to do is there's nothing that sells a community better than a great park. And so that first park that you see as you come into the community here off of 7800 South, this will all be built, this portion of it with the top lot will be built in phase 1, and then the remaining portion of that park will be built by the time phase 4, simultaneously with phase 4. It's a $2 million amenity, pool, clubhouse. That costs money, and so we've got to have the ability to spread that over a certain number of units to be able to maintain it.
Are those intended to be HOA run? Correct. With limited access as far as that goes?
That's exactly right, and that will all be included in the development agreement that we'll be presenting at the next stage.
Understood. Thank you.
Yeah.
Councilmember Anderson?
Thank you, Mayor. I had one more question. On the commercial sites, it says it's market-driven phase 12. So I assume that could be at the beginning, could be in the middle, could be at the end, just as the market dictates.
Our preference would be as soon as humanly possible.
Okay, that's a good preference.
But ultimately, the market's going to justify what's going to happen. And as I kind of briefly mentioned in my presentation, I think a lot of the retail is being built towards the Smiths. That's usually the driver. Sorry. That's usually the driver for the retail, and so we're anticipating that much of the retail, but it's filling up. That space is filling up, and so we're hopeful that the spillover will come to our site. Okay. But ultimately, we would probably have to have something in the development agreement that would preclude us from developing that in order to address the secondary access issue that we talked about earlier.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
We have one more. Councilmember Hagan.
Maybe for staff, just a clarifying question, maybe what you talked about is, are we making two motions, one to rezone and one to accept concept plan?
You're making two, so you're doing a request, it's a rezoning, and then as part of that to also approve the concept development plan, and then also the change to the future land use map.
Thank you. I will now open the public hearing. If you're here to speak on item 7D, now would be the opportunity.
Steve Jones, 3234 West, 6920 South. You know, and I might be getting ahead of myself related to this, but I see these high-density communities, and I know the city seems to like them, and there's all kinds of excuses as to why this is the greatest thing since apple pie, but I'm going to look at it from a little bit more practical standpoint and say, fine, but I do expect when I see almost 900 units coming in there that I really ought to see an increase in fire and police and some of these other amenities that somehow seem to be forgotten when we do these kind of communities. We never seem to have the thing in place, and the money seems to go into general coffers, and we seem to want to give it back to these developers because they're going to put one more bell and whistle in there. But yet this is far enough out that I see that if something like this goes in, the police service that I get in my neighborhood that I've been paying for 35 years seems to go out the window. So I would expect as this project progresses along that we should see some more officers and more equipment for our fire and stuff to support these kind of communities, because there's a lot of issues internally that needs to be taken care of. Thanks.
Just for the record, there will be millions spent in impact fees that will, throughout this project, it will make a benefit to the citizens. Thanks. Please.
Thank you, Mayor. My name is Greg Fabiano. I reside at 8121 Copper Canyon Way, which is approximately 1.5 miles from this site. I'm very familiar with the areas. I run up and down the Mountain View Corridor Trail on a regular basis, as well as bike on that trail. So it's a beautiful spot. I like the concept. I like the high density. That's all good. I love the location, but my primary concern with it is this the highest and best use, this concept, for this location? And here's what I referenced specifically. This is immediately adjacent to what will soon be the next limited access freeway here on the Wasatch Front. The need of a sound wall is an absolute must in my opinion. Granted, this is a frontage road immediately abutting it, but when you're talking a distance of 60 feet, a sound wall is needed because you've got a freeway right behind in your back door. In my personal opinion, and this is my profession, is I don't think this is the highest and best use for this parcel of property. Candidly, if we look at what we're competing for as a city, is we're competing for tax base. Adding another large residential subdivision with what will ultimately end up being a minimum of likely 3,000 or more people in this community, and right now we have one access into the property. That sounds quite silly. Number two, I think what we would much better serve is by turning this into a commercial zone potential because of the fact you're adjacent to what will soon be a freeway. We're going to have an exit right off of that. We have loads of residential, and I'm perfectly fine with residential, just to be very candid. I have no issue with the high density. That's perfectly fine. I think what we are doing is we are changing our own citizens of the community by not, should I say, by accepting it primarily as a planned unit development, which is a great unit. I have no issue with the plan. I think it's great. I just don't think it's great for this spot because it abuts the freeway. I think we'd be much better served in competing for commercial development potential with the adjacent cities to us. South Jordan understands that, Riverton understands that, Harriman understands that. They are all developing primarily commercial and high-density residential along the Mountain View corridor, and we should do likewise. To have a very, very small neighborhood commercial or retail parcel adjacent to the Smiths right on that busy corner is poor use of a very high-traffic place. I think we can do much better than this. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sorry. I live just off 70th South. Oh, Terry Egan. And I hear you talking that you're not worried about on the northern end right now, but traffic out in that area on 7800 South and 70th is very poor. There's going to be a junior high school. There is a school. There's going to be a junior high school. And what is Phase 11 going to be? Okay. I guess I don't understand the procedure, how you're starting at 78th, you're going to put this awesome community in, but you're not going to address on the north end or on 7800 South the traffic piece. I don't understand that how many different people you're going to move to that area. I also agree with the commercial part, that with tax base, it would bring us more taxes into the city. But what happens when you get down to all the phases, 6, 9, and 8? You're getting close to 70th South, and then you're going to start, is that when you start deciding about traffic on 70th or traffic on 78th? I don't know what it's called for a traffic analysis, or when does that piece start? It's kind of hard to get from Smiths or 5600 to Mountain View corridor. It's just getting more and more traffic there. And quite frankly, 70th South is dangerous, driving up and down that street. It's basically a one-lane street from where the junior high school is, the middle school, elementary school is. Police, who has jurisdiction or ownership over 70th South? Because there's 3 different cities there: Salt Lake County Unincorporated, West Valley, and West Jordan. So who's supposed to plow? Who's supposed to police, fire? Does anybody know who is supposed to take care of 70th South?
West Jordan City.
Doing a poor job. It's a very dangerous place. There's a lot of drugs, a lot of illegal activity, a lot of burglaries, and I guess I address that to the police chief. And then snow plowing. I'm concerned now, and you're going to put this community in, which I'm guessing it's kind of like Daybreak, which is kind of cool, but do we have the horse before the cart? And I don't know the process, but for traffic, we have some real problems. Okay. Can I go one more minute?
No, I'm sorry, you're going to have to wrap it up really quick.
So can I take another turn?
No,
Because I don't understand why these people get a lot more time to talk to you and we don't.
It's the way it's set up. You have 3 minutes, you're allowed 3 minutes.
Okay, I'll try to get my husband up here.
Thank you.
Lynn Murray, and I live at 6922 South Traveler Lane in West Jordan, right off of 7th Avenue, right next to Terry. We're concerned that is a very bad road, never gets plowed, and people that live in the condo don't have enough places to park, so some of them have to park on that road. There's a way to get to the corridor where you can walk that trail, it's fine. What I don't understand, like her, is I don't think that development is a good place where you're picking, not this spot. I think it should be more industrial, because you've got Smith's, and on the other side of Smith's, there's some new houses that all went in there. I'm sure you're aware of that. And then you're going to put this property right between Smith's and us. There's no access. There's no place for us to go. 7,000 is the only way we can get in and out of our property right now. And I bought in that area because I thought it was going to be nice and peaceful and quiet. I don't think this development is well suited for that spot. I honestly don't. Maybe another school, but I think businesses and the tax base would help us because we're already paying too many taxes. And the biggest thing I don't understand, these people want to put these communities in because they put money in their pocket. They don't care about us, not the citizens who live there, not the people that have to go back and forth to work every day and pay the taxes. And my biggest concern is, where are you going to get the water from? We already have crummy water pressure. It's horrible. So if you're going to build a community, what are you going to do about water for those of us that already live there? And maybe you need to zero-scape it so you don't have to water your lawn so much. And I'm really upset that they're going to do this because it's all about money. It's not about the people. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak? Now would be the opportunity on this item. I will close the public hearing of item 7D and return to the council for comments, questions, or a motion. Councilmember Jacob.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of comments based on what was said tonight. First of all, what is built on Mountain View Corridor here is not the frontage road. That's the outer lanes of the freeway, the on-ramps and off-ramps. It's the frontage roads once you get south of Old Bingham Highway and you're on the asphalt where the speed limit drops 10 miles an hour. Those are frontage roads. This is the freeway. This is not frontage. There's no frontage roads here. So yeah, sound wall is definitely going to be required. And I'm sure that'll be coming forward in the future phases or the future steps in this plan. I also have a concern with the comments that were brought up by the gentleman who was talking about the fact that this is our one and only freeway that we'll ever have in this city, and the commercial nodes around freeway off-ramps are what you have. And I don't think that the Smith's Marketplace will satisfy all of our future. I love it. I shop there almost exclusively. I almost don't shop anywhere else for groceries, but it's not going to satisfy the entire community's commercial needs forever and ever. It's just not. So I would like to see this commercial development on here, this phase 12. I would like to see that a little deeper, maybe into half of phase 1, as far as the development plan goes. And the other comment I had was, if this were the development plan tonight, and I know it's not, I'm okay with the zoning and the concept here for the most part, other than I'd like to see more of it to be commercial. But we would not be able to approve this as a development plan because the development plan and or the subdivision plan, I'm not sure which one, we always used to see them at the same time on the planning commission, says that you have to have sufficient infrastructure to support it when you approve the development plan. Not that we will someday have sufficient infrastructure to support this, but that we have it when we approve the development plan. So I would recommend bringing the development plan forward in 2 phases, where that line is where you said we don't have water pressure above this, we can't put in the houses there until the water tank's there. You don't bring the development plan up until we have the water tank there. And if that shouldn't be too much of a problem. I just sit and wait on it for a few years. And ditto with the road access that we talked about. 70th South is not sufficient to carry the load out of the north end of this development at this point. So that would also not work currently. But again, with the zoning and with the future land use map, I'm mostly okay with it, with the exception of the commercial part I would like to see larger. Because again, we're planning for the future of our city here. In the meeting I mentioned earlier in my comments that I had today with the Public Works Department, David Murphy said something profound, which I totally agree with. He said, let's build it once the first time so we don't have to do this over and over again. You know, we were talking about roads, we were talking about intersections, but let's zone this right the first time so we don't have to come back in 10 years and go, gosh darn, we got nowhere else to put a store at the corner of this big intersection with a freeway and the second largest arterial street in our city. Let's get this right the first time. Thanks.
Councilmember Hagan.
Thanks, Mayor. This is where I want to toot the horn of our staff. The first one, it answers one of the questions as far as road. We actually commissioned a road study, and I think it was 30 years out, of the whole West Jordan, I call it, which includes 70th South. And I would propose to you, perhaps maybe you can read that, you can see what is being proposed by Wasatch Regional, I forgot the committee that focuses on the whole Wasatch Front transportation. So the mayor sits on that board. Roads are something that we look at constantly. So there is a plan. Our staff and our management has spent the money to understand what we need to do on roads out here. Of course, it has to be funded, so we're waiting for money from the state, and that's where most of our road money comes from. The other thing is water. Again, if you look at our capital projects, our staff has years out for how much water, not only culinary water we drink, but secondary water we're proposing, things like that. So if that answers those questions, I'm a proponent of this development because we really need rooftops. The rooftops bring commercial, they bring jobs, and can we tweak this? This is a planned community. That's up to our staff, but I just want you to know that we have good projections on where our roads are going, where our water infrastructure is going also, and sewer also, and stormwater. Thanks, Mayor.
Before we move on, I heard tonight that for 2 years I haven't heard any complaints about any of our streets in our city being not snow plowed. So if we could maybe concentrate on 70th South, sounds like there's a problem because there were 2 separate residents. That's the first time I've heard any complaints in the last 2 years. So if we could look at that, Wendell, I'd appreciate it. Councilmember Anderson.
I just wanted to talk briefly on the snowplow. On my snowplow ride that I had the first of the year, the truck that I was assigned to actually plowed 70th South from the railroad tracks about 48th West up to the top here on the map. And our responsibilities were 70th South, 56th West, and 27th West. And that's all we plowed. And we hit 70th South, and that, this was one day, one night, but we hit 70th South probably 3 times in 4 hours, and put down, I don't know how many tons of salt. So that night it was plowed that I rode, but I think our staff does a wonderful job plowing. That was a big storm, and it took everything we had just to plow three streets in 4 hours that I was with the Public Works. But I'm glad they mentioned it. Thank you.
Appreciate you filling us in on that, and that you were actually there. Councilmember Nichols.
Thank you. This might come out as more of a question than a statement, but first of all, I want to echo what Councilmember Jacob indicated. Overall, I like the plan. We've been involved in this for a long time now. I'm excited to see what happens here. But overall, for me, I'm a little disappointed I'm not seeing more commercial. The high density throughout our whole city, this is where it belongs. That's where I want it. And so I'm excited about that. But the commercial, I'd like to see more. I mean, you have to think beyond 10 years from now. We got to think 30, 40, and 50 years from now what this will be. And this will be the I-15 on the west half of the valley. And that's, we have to think of that. And I hope we're not overlooking that potential. And so for me, I think to be supportive, I want to see a little bit of adjustment in the zoning. I don't know if, this is where the question comes in, I don't know if those involved are interested in taking a second look at maybe adjusting the phase 1 and phase 12 a little bit in that direction. But that's where I would be leaning more support. I love what they've done with the gully. I love it. It's made it a beautiful place of the city. I mean, very creative. And I applaud that. So that's just some thoughts that are coming through my mind up to this point. I want to be supportive of this 100%, not 80%. I want to be full on board. So that's kind of where I'm leaning at the moment.
Councilmember McConnell.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I think this conversation would be very different if we had frontage roads on this portion of Mountain View Corridor. I think it's a mistake that, I think the way it was laid out where we don't have those frontage roads, I think to be a mistake. You see other cities, Austin, Texas, and Fort Worth, where the freeway kind of allows you to fly right past everything, but then those frontage roads, you're able to get off on those frontage roads, and that's where a lot of your commercial, a lot of your businesses lie. You have plenty of access because the frontage road goes that entire stretch, and it's a really, really good way to lay things out. Where here we don't have frontage, there's really not much that can be done right up against the freeway. You're very, very limited. As far as other uses such as industrial or commercial, in industrial, I think the land has gotten to the point where, at least in this part of the valley, in this part of the city, it's really too expensive to do too much with industrial. If you go out by Dannon, it's a different story, and industrial is still thriving there. But in this area, I don't think industrial would be the right answer. And then commercial, we still have very limited access. Even though we have on-ramp and off-ramp at 78th, it's still very restricting. Then you also look at the challenges of the topography with that ravine right there, and I'm not sure how viable commercial would be. The topography causes a lot of issue there. So given that, you look at other portions of the valley, South Jordan along Bangerter Highway, and they're filling it in with insanely high density housing. I'm very happy to see this because we've got, a third of the units or so are those larger standalone homes that are up to a quarter-acre lot. Granted, quarter acre is not huge, but that's still significantly better than what we see in our neighbors what's been done with our neighbors to the south. I do think that this is probably the highest and best for what we could do, for what could be done with this parcel, given the topography and given the transit issues with Mountain View Corridor. The other thing I want to touch on with regard to traffic on 7800 South, and Councilmember Jacob alluded to this earlier, there are a number of improvements that are already in process, some of them that have been going on for years. I'll hold off on detailing that too much, but there's a lot of improvement coming to 78 South regardless of this development. I could go on for a while longer, but those are the primary points I wanted to hit. I really do believe that this is the highest and best use for this property considering the adjoining factors. And I'll hold my comments at that since there's another council member wishing to speak. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember Burton.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a question for staff on this, if I may. How many of those acres, how many acres is that is commercial at phase 12?
Just a little over 10.
Has 10 acres. And is that the only commercial in the whole project?
In this project, yes.
Thank you.
I just wanted to make a statement. This is in the 13 plus years I've been involved in government in West Jordan. This particular developer is the first time I've been included for 2 days in the preliminary design of a project. I think they heard us and addressed the problems. It had very high density in it before. We had some concerns for those 2 days. Our staff worked hard, tirelessly with their engineers, and to me it's refreshing to see the concept at least. And I do appreciate their willingness to spend I know it was a year and a half ago, but to spend the amount of time with their engineers, their design people, and working with the elected officials of the city and also our staff for that entire week with our staff. So I do appreciate that, and it's refreshing to actually see that kind of partnership. Councilmember McConaughey.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve Ordinance 17-05, amending the future land use map and rezoning the property located generally at 6150 West, 7800 South.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember McConaughey and a second by Councilmember Burton. Discussion to the motion. Councilmember Nichols.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't want to restate what I just did, but I'm just going to echo that. Thank you, Councilmember Burton, for asking me that question. It's interesting. I turned to him and I said, I can't remember how much is the exact acreage of the commercial, and then you said it, which was great. And see, for me, I was just looking for that number to be just a little bigger. I'll be voting against the motion. But I want the residents to know, because I suspected that based on the comments that mentioned this is going to pass, that we worked hard. I remember distinctly being in a room, a small room with UDOT officials 6 years ago, begging and pleading on this specific piece of property for frontage road and for an off-ramp at 7400 South. And I'm sorry we were not victorious on that, because it could have made a big difference in what we're doing today. There were 3 of us present, and we fought. And it was a long, hard meeting, but I just want the citizens to know we worked really hard to make it even better than what it is. I'm proud of what it is, but I will be voting against this motion. I'd just like to see some small changes.
Councilmember McConaughey.
Thank you, Mayor. And anticipating those concerns that were brought up, you'll note that in the motion I did not include approval of the concept plan. I recognize there may be some de facto implied approval because that was submitted with it, but I specifically left out approval of the concept plan for that reason. So hopefully that helps sway things a little bit, but if not, it's understandable. So thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember Hagan.
So point of clarification on the motion, you were not approving the concept plan, even though staff recommended that.
The motion was to the motion was to amend the future land use map and rezone the property.
Councilmember Jacob.
Thank you, Mayor. I feel like I'm in a little bit of a hard spot because I really want to approve this because I really like the concept here for the most part. I like the idea. It's just, I think it's let me use the analogy or the phrase, it's just a hair short, as am I. So I like the idea. I think it's knocking on the right door. Like Councilmember Nichols said, I'm 85% of the way there. It's just I just want to do it right the first time, and it's really close. It's really close. Just by the way, is there anything stopping a developer from putting frontage roads in on the property? Just curious. There's a lot of roads in here, so I was just wondering why one of them's not a frontage road that we could do. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. I'm really, really close on this. I'm just not quite there yet. Thanks.
Final comments. Councilmember Hagan.
So, with your permission, can I ask the staff a question as far as the development? Is not approving the concept plan going to put this project in jeopardy?
I think we're beyond that. I think we're in deliberations on a motion at this point, so.
Then I would like to make a substitute motion to include the zoning and include the concept plan.
We have a motion by Councilmember Haga. That motion will die for lack of a second. We're back to the original motion, Councilmember Burton. Oh, excuse me, Councilmember McConaughey.
Thank you, Mayor. And had you made the comment earlier about no further commentary, I would not have hit my button. What I intended to ask was, as Councilmember Jacob mentioned, he's about 85% of the way there with the concept. Looking at this from a larger, from a little bit higher level, I would ask if PC does not seem like the appropriate zone, and if there seemed like a more appropriate zone. If PC seems like the most appropriate zone for this parcel, then I would suggest approval. Thank you, Mayor.
Let's vote.
Councilmember Burton?
Yes.
Mayor Rolfe?
Yes.
Councilmember Jacob?
No.
Councilmember McConaughey?
Aye.
Councilmember Haga?
Yes.
Councilmember Nichols?
No.
Councilmember Anderson?
No.
Vote passes 4-3 in favor.
Public hearing item 7E. Receive public input and consider for approval ordinance 17-06 regarding a preliminary development plan establishing a density of 4.7 dwelling units per acre for the cottages at Applecross, located at approximately 2735 West, 7800 South, in the PRD zoning district. Hamlet Development, Michael Brodsky, applicant. David?
Yes, Larry Gardner will address this issue.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This property, I think the only council member that wasn't here stepped out of the room, but this was rezoned late last fall. It's the property 2735 West, 7800 South. It's just west of Cal Ranch, behind the Arby's. Hamlet Homes applied at that time to rezone the property from SC2 to a PRD medium. They have submitted their concept development plan to the Planning Commission and their preliminary subdivision plat, which both received approval, and the Planning Commission recommended approval of the preliminary development plan to the council, or recommends the council approve that. Mayor, with your permission, Mr. Brodsky would like to address you at this time.
That'd be in order.
Michael Brodsky, 308 East, 4500 South Murray. I'm handing out a little booklet that is part of the presentation I'd like to make this evening. I've also given staff a thumb drive so that we can look at it up here. If you don't mind, I'd like to comment on a point that J.F. Land makes that I think is very relevant here. They talk about not sacrificing living space to the house when you can provide good architecture on smaller lots to make the home affordable. I think that you'll see that what we've done at Applecross is an excellent example of that. Much effort has gone into the design of these homes to provide an attractive architectural design and to be able to heavily amenitize the home itself to provide the consumer with an affordable benefit. If we go to the next slide. I need the younger generation to help me with the technology here. I wanted to talk about our site plan, discuss the landscaping, parks, and the amenities that we're providing, and if we can get a picture up on the screen, it will help. There we go. So stay with the site plan for a second. This is our site plan. This is about just a little less than a 9-acre parcel. The area along 7800 South remains commercial. We have already negotiated a sale of that property to a commercial developer who has been in discussions with a couple of potential users that are starting to look promising. Separating our property from the adjacent shopping center and from the commercial frontage is a 6-foot-high precast masonry wall on the northeast and west sides of the property. At one point, we had proposed a vinyl fence on one side, and your planning commission asked if we would consider changing it to precast concrete, which we agreed to. Go to the next slide, please. Thank you. We look at landscaping as an integral part of our neighborhood. It's as important to us as the architecture. And so a number of things that we've done here, these homes are landscaped full front and rear yards. We've clustered driveways together so that we can create larger open and green space along the street. We very carefully looked at view corridors so that as you come into the neighborhood off of the main entrance, as you drive down the street and have the opportunity to look down the backyards, we have heavily landscaped those areas to provide an attractive streetscape and to block and provide privacy to the rear of the homes. Excuse me. We've got 3 parks in here. The parks provide a variety of different functions. We see this as a family neighborhood. These are our homeowners here will be young families with children. Thank you very much. That helps. Young families with children, and so the parks contain playground equipment, park benches, barbecue facilities, dog waste stations. We're cognizant of the need for connectivity, and so the 2 cul-de-sacs on the ends of our property butt the Wood Cove neighborhood and actually but their parks. We have designed sidewalks that access their property. We've had some discussions with Wood Parks Homeowners Association, and we're offering to construct sidewalks through their parks to connect into their sidewalks to provide walkability and connectivity for their children to be able to get out to 78 South on their way to schools. The primary access to the neighborhood is between the commercial, but there's a secondary access also on the shopping center side. That secondary access is an emergency exit. The fire department has reviewed this plan and approved this exit. We were proposing a gate there. Again, your planning commission asked if we would substitute bollards for the gate, which we agreed to do. I think that's so go to the next plan. I talked about the architecture. I have control of that. Thank you. I'm sorry, I'm a slow learner sometimes. I wanted to show you samples of the homes that we will be building here. One of the controls that we will put in place is that we will have no 2 elevations of the same house side by side. So we have designed a variety of different exterior elevations to provide diversity of the streetscape. These houses are on full basements, and they range in size from about 2,500 square feet up to just over 4,000 square feet. This is a Rambler plan. This is a very interesting house. We designed this for corner location. As you can see, the front door is angled, and it is designed to be sited on the corner so that you have a walkway that goes right out to the intersection. And again, the landscaping on this house is very important. But another element of this house is by simply turning that front door 45 degrees and making it 90 degrees to the street, this house sites anywhere in the neighborhood. The last house I'm showing you is this is a smaller of the two stories. This is about a 2,500 square foot two-story. And included in the package is a description of the community amenities that I've described to you earlier. Are there any questions for me?
Questions from the council? Councilmember Anderson?
Yeah, just had a question. There was, it mentions 2 commercial sites as separate parcels that are less than 1 acre. What do you envision being developed on those commercial sites?
The commercial developer that we are under contract to sell that to is telling me that he has interest in a Starbucks and on one of the sites, and he has interest in a CVC on the other site. He's also telling me that he's in negotiation to purchase, on the smaller of the 2 commercial sites, he's in negotiations to purchase another piece adjacent to it.
Yeah, to me, it just seems small. I mean, one of them shows, I think it's a little over 10,000 square feet. The other one's about 24,000 square feet, a little more than that. And I just worry about what options there were to develop on small lots, on small parcels.
Certainly.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Anderson, I've been contacted by one of the businesses interested in purchasing one of the parcels, so
okay.
I'd be glad to talk to you offline about that.
All right, thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember Hagan.
Thanks, Mayor. You know, as a baby boomer, you know, and somebody that's looking for this type of home, I applaud you. I think they're good, very attractive homes. They're what empty nesters like myself need. And there's millions of us looking for these type of dwellings. So I'm a big proponent. When you first proposed this to us, and I saw some of the homes, very nice construction, very good looking, in what my wife would call attractive. So thank you. I'm a proponent.
Well, thank you. And the mix of homes that we have offering here will suit both us. I'm a baby boomer also, but also the younger family. So we see this developing as a very nice, diverse neighborhood.
Councilmember Burton.
Thank you, Mayor. My question is, last time you were here, there was some concerns about access over on the west side. Can you tell me how that easement access has been addressed?
As you can see, there are 2 entrances. The primary entrance, I told you, is through the commercial. The secondary access is through a parcel that is owned by the shopping center.
I'm actually referring to the access for the canal. There was an easement over where the canal is. It required some access.
I beg your pardon. I'm sorry. There is a pump house on the upper left side of the site plan that provides the adjacent neighborhood their irrigation water. We have maintained an easement across that in their favor. We will make sure that nothing happens to disturb the performance of that house.
And the access to that easement, will that be from 78, or will that be?
No, the access to that easement will be across one of the private lots, right? It's actually, is there a pointer on this? Thank you. That pump exists right there on the corner, and there is a utility easement actually that runs all the way down these property lines. So the access to that is directly through their park, by the way, on one side, and the easement exists on the property line here.
Was that answering your question? Was that the access you're speaking of? Because we may be lost on what you're...
Well, I'm trying to remember from our last one, it was on the west side, and the neighbors before were concerned about how they were going to get into that access along by the canal.
And it's the pump house. It's right on the canal road. So the way they will get to their pump house is just simply come out to 78 South, and then there's still a service entrance right here. That won't change at all. What Mr. Brodsky's talking about is the pipe, actual physical pipe that will be in an easement to this point that waters all of Woods Cove's landscaping, which is a lot.
Okay. So on the west side, it'll be from 78, because they were concerned about driving through their subdivision to get to it. So
they won't have to drive through the subdivision. What they'll do is come down the canal road like they do now.
Very good. Thank you.
Is it?
Councilman Burton, the access is right through their park. They don't have to even they don't have to come through my property to get there. What I was talking about was their pump house does sit on the corner of this lot, and so there's an easement giving them the right to access their house. There is a pipe that provides them water to the pump house, and we're providing them an easement along this property line to their pipe. But the actual access to their pump house is through their park. They're right on the property line.
So it'll come from the south?
Pardon?
It'll come from the south, the access will?
Yes.
Not necessarily 78?
Yes.
But it could come from 78 as well?
Yeah, they could access it through the canal maintenance road as well. But the easier way for them is to just go right through their own park.
And that is their pump, correct?
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
Yes.
Councilmember Jacob.
Thank you, Mayor. Just two quick questions. The first one, are the lots on this intended to be fenced in as far as the backyards of these houses? Will they have fences, or is that intended to be more open shared space?
They'll have the ability to fence them in if they choose. The homeowners association that provides the architectural controls will establish one type of fence that they can use so that you've got a uniformity of appearance.
Okay, thank you. And then the second question that dovetails perfectly right into that. The three little tiny parks that are shown here are intended to be owned by the HOA and maintained by the HOA?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
As well as the equipment in the parks, yes.
Right, thank you.
Councilmember McConaughey.
Thank you, Mayor. And I had asked this question last time. I just want to confirm that this is still the case. But the way these entrances to 7800 South align with the current subdivision on the north side of 7800 South, we're not going to see any offset intersections, correct?
The location of our entrance was intentionally designed to align with the cross streets, yes.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
I will now open the public hearing for item 7E. Anyone wishing to speak on this item? Seeing no one, I will return to the council. Councilmember Burton.
Mayor, I am familiar with this location where they're proposing to do this, and I think this is a good use for that location, and I would be in support of seeing this happen as proposed. And if there are no further comments, I'd be happy to make a motion.
That would be in order.
1706. Okay, I move that we approve ordinance 1706 regarding a general land use map. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm the wrong one. Okay, I propose with the approval ordinance 1706 regarding a preliminary development plan establishing a density of 4.7 dwelling units per acre for the cottages at Applecross located approximately 2735 west, 7800 south in the PRD zoning district, Hamlet Development.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Burton and a second by Councilmember Haga. Discussion to the motion. Councilmember Jacob.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll speak against the motion mainly because I'm opposed to how dense the product is. I was opposed to it when we rezoned it with the concept plan for the same reason, and just for consistency's sake, if nothing else, I'm opposed to the density here as well. So I'll be opposing the motion. Thanks.
Councilmember Anderson.
Yeah, just a couple questions. Councilmember McConaughey mentioned this, but the private street that accesses 7800 South, that goes, coincides with the egress at Sunset Way, as I understand, right? And then the fence, the back fence with the pump house, which I think on this map is lot number 8. So is there separation between the pump house and the yard of the private property of the homeowner in house number 8? Yes? Okay, thank you, Mayor.
Let's vote.
Councilmember Anderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Jacob,
No.
Mayor Rolfe,
Yes.
Councilmember Nichols,
Yes.
Councilmember Burton,
Yes.
Councilmember Haga,
Yes.
Councilmember McConaughey.
Aye.
Vote passes 6-1 in favor.
Mayor, I move we take a 10-minute break.
Will you reduce that to 5 minutes because of the length of the evening?
Mayor, I move we take a 7.5-minute break.
Second.
I'll go 5.
Second the 5 as well.
We have a motion and by Councilmember Burton, a second by Councilmember Jacob. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We're adjourned for 5 minutes only, please. Business item 8A, discussion and possible action regarding Resolution 17-17, authorizing the mayor to execute agreements with Knife River Corporation Northwest to complete the construction of 70th South Utility Project Phases 2A and 2B, which includes storm drain, sewer, and minor water construction from 1300 West to 3200 West in an amount not to exceed $7,285,713.90 for Phase 2A and $6,574,295.50 for Phase 2B. Wendell Rigby.
Thank you, Mayor. This is an item that has been previously discussed with the council. We've actually completed, well, there's 3 phases to it. We've completed the first phase, which is from the Jordan River up to 1300 West. This projects would complete the project, the storm drain project, and miscellaneous utilities that interfere with the storm drain line up to 3200 West, and will relieve and provide a final solution for the storm flooding that goes on in up around 3200 West. The reason we have it on business item this evening is because of the high cost or the large amounts, and wanted to provide the council with an opportunity to ask questions if you had any. Dave Murphy is here in the audience this evening to answer questions.
Thank you. I couldn't be more excited to get this project underway. Council, questions for Dave or Wendell? I think we're ready to move, aren't we? Councilman Nichols.
Thank you. I move to adopt Resolution 17-17. Super excited too.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Nichols and a second by Councilmember Jacob. Discussion to the motion. Seeing none, let's vote.
Okay, sorry. Councilmember Haga?
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson?
Yes.
Councilmember McConaughey?
Aye.
Councilmember Jacob?
Aye.
Councilmember Nichols?
Yes.
Mayor Rolfe?
Yes.
Councilmember Burton?
Yes.
Vote passes 7 in favor.
Business item 8B, discussion and possible action regarding ordinance 17-07, amending the 2009 West Jordan Municipal Code Title 7, Motor Vehicles and Traffic, Section 2, prohibited transfer on a roadway 7-2-7 regarding prohibiting the unsafe transfer of money or other personal property in a roadway. Councilmember McConaughey.
Thank you, Mayor. You'll recall a few months back, after I had visited the town of Medford, Oregon, I came back and reported to the council that I had seen the city of Medford had adopted an ordinance that prohibited the transfer of items between pedestrians and vehicles that were in the travel right-of-way on the roadway. This was intended to help reduce some of the danger that was caused by folks who were either panhandling on the side of the road, running out and trying to get money or something like that, exchanging goods where you would normally expect vehicles to be driving. You get somebody sitting there waiting to hand money to someone who's asking for it, and the light's green, you get a car coming up behind, you get a lot of frustration and potential traffic issues because you have cars sitting at a green light. So what this is a really simple change to code that basically says, it's an addition to our code that says we prohibit the exchange of items between vehicles in the travel area and pedestrians. There are, of course, exclusions made where appropriate for perhaps an emergency or perhaps a police officer who is taking care of his duty. But if you're not in the travel part of the lane, if you're off on the shoulder, you can continue to do as you'd like. This just prohibits this activity from occurring in the travel lane because of its impact on public safety. You'll also notice if you read through the definitions, roadway is not defined as any roadway within the city, it's just defined as arterial and collector. So if you're on a neighborhood street and you reach out, Councilmember Jacob and I had this conversation earlier today. If you're driving out of your neighborhood, before you get to a main arterial or collector and you see your child, you have to hand something to them like a backpack or a lunch that they forgot or lunch money, you're perfectly fine. You're not in violation. It's just if you're in the vehicle, in the travel portion of the roadway on an arterial or collector. So that's the intent of the ordinance. And then what you're seeing here on the overhead is a picture of one of the signs that they had in Medford. And they put this by the freeway on-ramps and off-ramps to help educate the public of that ordinance. And just the posting of the sign seems to have done a lot of, well, they don't have any statistically valid numbers to share, but anecdotally they say that placement of these signs has significantly improved the issues that they were seeing previous. So that's the intent. I'd be happy to answer any questions that there may be.
Questions from council? Councilmember Hagan.
It's more of a legal, again, because we're changing ordinance. I'm wondering if I can get an attorney. I mean, are we supposed to have a public hearing when we change city ordinance? No. Even though it's punitive type of...
You're drafting new ordinances that just require input. If you want to have a public meeting portion, that's up to the city council.
Then what is the... is it an infraction? What kind of enforcement does it require if it's punitive?
Class C misdemeanor. We didn't put it as high as a Class B misdemeanor for the purposes of being able to ultimately ask for a plea bargain of some type. I have a very strong feeling that the legislature, through Pew and other entities that are in front of them this year, they're going to see reductions of offense levels to the point where speeding tickets are going to become infractions and other offenses of that type. So we will be encouraged by the legislature to try to keep those offense levels actually below Class B misdemeanor levels in the future.
Councilmember Jacob.
Thank you. Just one quick question for Councilmember Connie. Who is at fault? Is it the receiver or the giver or both of the item? Which part's prohibited? You know what I mean? Or both?
The way it's worded, it would be both, because it says, where is it? So under section C, this is on page 349 of the electronic version. Section C, it shall be unlawful for a person to, number one, while a pedestrian, accept, take, receive, otherwise obtain possession or control of any money or personal property from a person within a motor vehicle. It goes on a little bit. And then C, number two, it shall be unlawful for a person while a driver or passenger in a motor vehicle in a roadway or on a publicly owned property used as mentioned, blah, 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 to give, hand over, relinquish possession or control of any money or property, personal property, to a pedestrian. So, false.
Thank you.
Councilmember Hagan.
Again, I should have had a follow-up. But so, if this is being a punitive action, it's going to be administered by our police department, what's the cost involved with enforcing this ordinance?
The cost I can't answer. I think that would be better answered by the chief as to whether or not, what his staff will look like and how to address this. I can tell you as a Class C misdemeanor, the court will impose a fine, a misdemeanor fine that could include up to 90 days in jail or a fine of $500 or a combination of both. It's my experience, Judge Coons has typically looked for compliance. He doesn't ask for jail time. He looks for a way to try to change behavior.
I'm just going to speak against this motion just because, we're creating a criminal of somebody that's probably down in their luck. and then a charitable person that might be in a vehicle that might just be giving them a blanket, you know, to stay warm, things like that. And I don't think that we've thought this out well as far as how we're going to fund it. We're already seeing things in our city where we spent $2.5 million on our police department. We have the best police department in the valley, in my opinion, but to add more things to their roster, I would be opposed to this change. So, and want the main reason, because it's punitive on a minority of our residents. Thanks.
Councilmember McConaughey.
Thank you, Mayor. The one thing I would add is in my conversation with the folks from Medford, it sounded like in the year and a half or so that this has been in effect, they have not actively been prosecuting this. They've only had about 3 folks that have been issued a citation for this. And it's not done as an intent to harm somebody who is trying to be charitable. It's intended to prevent safety issues from occurring. If somebody wants to be charitable or do what they believe is helpful, they're welcome to do so after they remove themselves from the travel right-of-way and thus avoid creating a public safety hazard.
Councilmember Anderson.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So Councilmember McConaughey, this doesn't prevent a charitable person from giving an item to a person who is needing the item, as long as they're not in a lane of travel. It's preserving the lane of travel so cars can keep moving, and if they want to pull over into an emergency lane or the shoulder of the road where they're not in a lane of traffic, that is allowed, correct?
Yeah, so if you go back to the first section, paragraph A, is the intent of this section to enhance the safety of pedestrians and motor vehicle occupants on public roadways. So that's the intent. If they get off of the roadway, then they're fine. Regardless of intent, you can cause a lot of problems, irrespective of how much good you're intending to do. If you're running through an intersection right off of 78th and Bangerter, you can cause a whole lot of problems. So that the intent is to stop that. If you're out of the roadway, not a problem.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Jacob.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve ordinance 17-07, amending the city code to prohibit the transfer of money or other personal property in a roadway, and further to direct staff to create and post appropriate signage where they deem appropriate.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Jacob, a second by Councilmember McConaughey. Discussion to the motion. Councilmember Higa.
Yeah, I'm just going to restate why I'm opposed. It's not the fact that maybe there is a safety issue. I agree there probably is. But it's who we're addressing this law to and how punitive it is. So I'm going to oppose the motion. And thank you very much, Mayor.
Councilmember Jacob.
Thank you, Mayor. I had concerns on this ordinance proposal when I first heard it, but I want to commend Councilmember McConaughey for his work on this and the Attorney's Office that has put this together. This is very well done, very well thought out. It doesn't prohibit people being down on their luck, and it doesn't prohibit people being charitable. It just prohibits the dangers that can cause. And I think it's very, very well done, and I'm happy to vote in favor of this.
Councilmember McConaughey.
Thank you, Mayor. I would just forward those accolades on to our legal department. I brought them the idea that they were the ones who were able to flesh that out, specifically Duncan. So if you would forward thanks and appreciation.
Let's vote.
Councilmember McConaughey.
Aye.
Councilmember Burton.
Yes.
Councilmember Haga.
No.
Mayor Rolfe.
Yes.
Councilmember Jacob.
Aye.
Councilmember Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Nichols.
Yes.
The vote passes 6-1 in favor.
Business item 8C, discussion and possible action regarding resolution 17-18, authorizing a ballot measure to change the form of government to a council-mayor form with a 7-member council, and approving language to be included on the ballot for November 7th, 2017 general election. Councilmember Burke.
Thank you, Mayor. This item I brought up last year, as some of you may recall, and there was some concern for the timing, and so I moved it up earlier this year to help with the timing concerns. And there was concern on some of the wording, so I reworded some of the issues on there, thanks to our legal staff that helped in getting the wording done there appropriately. And I tried to be in contact with lots of citizens throughout the city about this, and some other cities who have similar forms of governments and different forms of governments, in contact with them, get their opinion. And just last Saturday, I was talking with somebody, and I was at a town hall meeting. It wasn't mine, it was for somebody else. And they brought up how they live in West Jordan, but they sure love to see this on the ballot. And I said, well, if you're in luck, at least I go and give it the opportunity for our council to give us the chance to put this on the ballot. So the question is, should we permit the citizens to choose the form of government? Stay with what we have, or choose a different form of government? And the reason the public hearings are after this is because the state law requires that once we approve to put this on the ballot, that we hold those public hearings. So those dates I have scheduled are tentative dates. I will adjust those as need be to make sure that we have a full council at each of those public hearings, because I think this is important that all the council attends that. And if we need to add additional, we're welcome to do that. 2 is the minimum that we're provided to do, so I'll do at least the minimum, and if the public shows that we have desire to do more, we will. And you'll see there's a clause in there that we have 90 days. I'm sorry, thank you. 60 days that we can retract this or make other adjustments to it prior to this being submitted to go on the ballot. So I desire to let the public have their choice and opportunity to do this, so I can open this up for the council to permit the public to have a vote. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember Jacob.
Thank you, Mayor, and I appreciate the opportunity to chime in on this. I'm in the same I'm of the same opinion I was last year when we brought this up. Councilmember Burton, you said it. You hit the nail right on the head. This is to allow the citizens to choose their form of government. However, you're limiting their choice to only 2, the one we have and the one that you're proposing. There are 2 or 3 others on the books that they could choose from. I would much rather have some town hall meetings, a committee formed to study the pros and cons of each of the available forms of government, including the one we have. And again, I brought this up last year, and take that recommendation under advisement, and also give the public a chance to weigh in whether or not they want to have this discussion even. So I believe this is a little bit of cart before the horse. I am all in favor of letting the citizens of our city choose their form of government, but let's let them have all the choices, and not just make the first half of the choice for them. Thank you.
Councilmember McConaughey.
Thank you, Mayor. Let me start off with the positive. I could be supportive of having setting a number of open houses to hear from residents as to if they want to see a change to the form of government. I would be open to that and hearing from them. In the past, we've heard that there was a citizens initiative coming, that we're going to be delivered quite a few signatures on the petition to make the change. We never did see that. I don't know how many people are actually interested in this. There's only about a dozen or so different people that I've heard from on this one. But I regularly hear about public safety. I hear about snowplows. I hear about parks funding. So I would worry about I want to make sure that we're focusing on what's most important to the residents. So before we go down the route of adopting a resolution to put a very, very specific question on the ballot, I want to make sure that that's what the residents want. So the positive is I could be in favor of starting with a number of open houses. The negative, I just can't in any way support this resolution because of the specifics. Councilmember Jacobs already mentioned there's a number, Councilmember Jacob, he's singular, not plural. Councilmember Jacob mentioned that there are a number of other forms of government, including our own. This is very specific into looking at one of those forms of government, and I'm not convinced that that's the best of the other alternatives that are out there. Number two is the timing. Setting this up in such a way that this will be on the ballot, this would potentially be on the ballot this year. When you have the folks who are going to be running for mayor this year, they would not know whether or not they're going to be accepting a 2-year term or a 4-year term. And then down the road to change it up again, so everybody again has to run 2 years after that. I think the timing that's proposed in here is very problematic. Additionally, that 60-day clause I found problematic. If we were to approve this, we'd only have 60 days to change or rescind it. Well, the proposed dates for the public hearings are such that, let me pull up the calendar real quick. So February 22nd, which is just 1 month from now, so 4 weeks, and that is an awful lot of information. If we were to have a public hearing, that's an awful lot of information for staff to gather in just 4 weeks. And then to have something again on March 8th, our 60-day deadline, if we were to approve this today to make any changes, would be Sunday, March 26th. So the only council meeting after the public hearings where we could make a change, we'd be limited to just one council meeting where we can make a change, and that would be on March 22nd. That 60 days is definitely a deal breaker. The other thing is, as mentioned, this has come up time and time before. This is the 4th time it's come up in 3 years. I'm not going to take the wind out of Councilmember Nichols' sails, but I have concerns with the frequency with which this is coming up. I'm going to go at it from an alternate perspective, which is looking at the state of Utah, the form of government that we have. How often do we reevaluate this? I don't recall any movement to try and revisit. Maybe we should become a Commonwealth similar to Virginia, or how often does Virginia look at changing the way they're set up? Or District of Columbia as a federal district as opposed to a state, or Puerto Rico, Guam, some of the other territories. I'm not as, this goes back to, I'm going down the route of what form of government do we want, and talking about those examples, but really the question is going back to the need for the open houses first to find out, is this something the public even wants? It's something I've heard very little about. Again, I would be in support of having open houses to gauge public opinion and see what people think. But I think we are way too premature. The language is way too precise, and we are going to be riddled with issues if we were to adopt this resolution as it's listed. So I'll hold my comments at that. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember Hagan.
I wasn't going to talk about this because this will be my last year on the council. But, it was mentioned tonight that the framers of the Constitution thought these things out. But it started with one thing, and that was the Declaration of Independence, where they asked, we want to be self-determined, and we want to vote. And that's really the question. You can take it this way, you can spin it that way, but all we're saying as a council, if this passes, residents, because this is, first of all, it's required by state constitution that this kind of question go to the voter. We can't decide, we're not deciding. The question has to go to the voter. Voters, do you believe that West Jordan, the 4th largest city, should have separations of powers, have a mayor, have a legislative body? And at this point, we're a bureaucratic run city. And as much as we want to think we have the mayor at the head of our city, with all due respect, Mayor, the mayor is the chairman of our council. And I believe this city is destined to bigger and greater things, and the residents should have the opportunity to vote their destiny, not the council's destiny. So I've been a big proponent of this, and it's sad to hear that only a few people have expressed interest in this, when myself and others have gathered thousands of signatures with hopes not to run our own initiative, but this council with a majority might say, you know what, let's let the residents decide. And that's all this is about. And I commend Councilman Burton for doing it, putting it on the agenda. There is a lot of debate to begin, and I look forward to that debate where we have, as a council, left and right, whatever you want to call it, for, opposed, and the residents come out and speak their mind before it goes to the vote. And the law is specific, too, about a pamphlet has to be published to educate the voter. This is in the law, to educate the voter on the pros, whoever writes that, and the cons, whoever writes that. So the voter will be educated. And I trust the vote of the people. All of us were elected by a vote. And that's all I think we're asking tonight is, council, let the residents determine their destiny of their city. Because this city can, not with due respect to our management, because we have great city management, I think a mayor that is CEO of this city can take it to a bigger level than we are now. Thanks, Mayor.
Councilmember Burton.
Thank you, Mayor. And Councilman Haga, thank you for your comments. If you give me that list or something that shows me how many were on there, I'd love to see that. And then on Councilman McConaughey, if we were to move that 60 days to 90 days, would that help in your vote decision?
No.
Thank you.
Councilmember Nichols.
Thank you, Mayor. For those who've heard my position on this before will know I'm long-winded, because this issue is really important to me. There are a couple up here on this council who have not heard those arguments, at least you weren't present in the room when I presented them on 3 other occasions. First and foremost, you need to know when I was first elected, I supported a strong mayor form of government. I liked the concept, the idea. And I learned one big problem. State legislature removed that form of government from the code so that should West Jordan ever desire to go back to what we have now, it's not possible. And it changed my opinion. That's all it took. To me, it's not a choice when you go to select a choice of government. If your real choice is, well, you go to this one, and then when you go there, you can never come back. That's not a choice. If you want a real choice, let's get the legislature to put our form of government back on the books as a viable form that cities can change to. I'll tell you, I have several points. Number one, our current form of government is an effective system. I can prove that to you. I've got things tonight. I'll go through it. It's an effective form of government. Number two, the strong form has a tendency to cost more. That's just a fact. There's nothing hiding. It tends to cost more. Number three, I'd argue that the most important facet of effective government, regardless of the type, it could be strong mayor, mayor council, it could be anything, the most effective facet is who is elected. It's not the form of government. Now, really my point tonight is our debate tonight shouldn't be whether we put it on the ballot. Our debate tonight should be to persuade the legislature to get our council manager form of government back in the books. I'm just beginning. Hang in there. So this is more for the public's sake, because 4 of you have already heard this from me before. But the history of our form of government is critical to how important it is to me and to our city. It was about the turn of the 20th century, the man we all have heard of, Teddy Roosevelt. He got tired of the spoils system. That was the straw mayor form of government. He got tired of the spoils system, the cronyism, and the nepotism that was rampant in American municipalities. And they started a movement. Eventually they created the National Civic League. The Civic League got behind this idea of stronger democracy, getting the power taken away from a strong central government with a strong mayor, taking it back to the citizens. It developed into what we have today, the council manager form of government. At that time, not a single form of government in the United States had that form of government. And today, if you look at our size of city, 100,000 to 250,000 residents, 65% of the cities in this country are the council manager form of government. And it's growing. There's a reason for that. It is the most effective form of government to bring government to the people. It's not perfectly effective. I just would argue that it's the most effective of the others that you would compare to. So going down my list, that pretty much covers the history, but the whole idea of the National Civic League was to eliminate corruption. It was to bring transparency back to the people. And it definitely came back in a strong way. So to me, before we can go down this road of why change, I want to know what's the pros of what we have versus anything else. Today I spent 10 minutes and I came up with 8 or 9 items. Number one, when you have a single individual in a strong form of government, it could be the president, it could be a county mayor, it could be a city mayor. When you have one person who's elected in an executive role in that nature, when they're elected, they are strongly tied to special interests. It's inherent. When you have a body that's controlling, now you have special interests that have to control the entire body, not just an individual. It gives the strength to the council manager form of government. We hear constantly, this is the argument that's just the most obvious to me. There's a constant clamor you hear, oh, I wish government could be less bureaucratic. I wish it would be more like a business. Unlike a business. Be efficient like a business. There is one form of government that models a corporation, if not exact, nearly exact, and that's the council manager form of government. We have a board of directors with a chairman of the board. It's our mayor. We have a CEO. It's our city manager. We have a COO. At the moment we don't, but the idea is that would be your deputy who helps administer in the city. But that form of government is what allows it to be effective. And I've seen firsthand how when this legislative body is not content with the CEO, we make a change. We've been here 7 years, we've changed. I'm sorry, I mean, for better or worse, it's something we've done as a city. Whether you would say that's effective or not, I've seen 4 city managers in that seat. And it's this form of government that allows that change. If you have a strong mayor form of government, you're stuck with that executive for 4 painful years. If it's a mistake. Now again, going on with my previous argument, if it's a good person, the person you elect is great. It doesn't matter the form of government, you're going to be fine. I'm just telling you that this is an effective form. So another merit with our form of government, our CEO, we went through this long, arduous process, and his hiring in the executive role, it wasn't based on special interests and who can campaign finance and who does all that. He was selected based on merit, past performance, experience, and what we wanted as a vision as a legislative body. You can only get that in this form of government. Day-to-day operations are made by someone who's trained professionally. They have the education that backs it up, not someone who just says, I'm popular and I want to run. And this is another one that's near and dear, is the department heads. Each one of the department heads are selected on the same criteria, merit, not the buddy pal system. I'm not going to mention names, but I know firsthand, close to home, politically speaking, someone who supported someone else running in a strong form of government was selected as a department head, and other department heads were released. That's what happens in a strong form of government. We're just seeing that right now at the presidential level. At the presidential level, the whole cabinet gets replaced. That's the same thing. It's not transparent. It's who's my buddies, who's pals, who supported me, who's gonna follow my agenda. They're not following the agenda of the legislative body. It's in the people. It's what that person wants. The other thing is there's no guaranteed tenure for city managers. They can be relieved at any time. It's less expensive in general. We already talked about that, just because what happens in a strong form of government, next thing you know, mayor's going to hire the deputy mayor, then they're going to hire a chief of staff, and then the council's going to feel like, oh, the mayor's office is getting a little upset, I need to hire my own attorney. And that's what happens. The next thing you know, like our cities around us, like Provo, Sandy, and Salt Lake, they're spending an extra $500,000 to $1 million a year just on supporting staff between the two bodies. That's just what I came up with in about 10 minutes of thinking today. I'm sure the list could go on and on and on. Let me give you some examples, and these are the most compelling. I already said 65% of cities that are in our size follow our form of government. But probably one of the most compelling things to me is when, forget this, we say we're this great city, we're first class, and we're propelling forward. Okay, let's look at the big cities. If you want to be the big cities in the country, what forms of government are they? And all we do is you go to the census and you look at the top 30 cities of the United States, 30 largest cities. And I'll name a few off of this list, and you tell me which cities you would most want to be like. How about New York City, Los Angeles, Chicago, Houston, Philadelphia, San Francisco, Detroit? Those cities who we want to become? Cities the same size with a council manager form. Those are all strong mayor forms of government. Now compared to the cities of the same size with a council manager form of government. Phoenix, San Antonio, Dallas, San Jose. San Jose, Silicon Valley. I don't think that's at all coincidental. Charlotte, North Carolina, Las Vegas, Nevada. To me, these are thriving, vibrant cities, and they all happen to be council manager forms of government. Large cities. I still have more, but I don't want to go on for on and on. I've already taken 10 minutes. The idea to me is it's not a real vote. To me, I'm okay with letting people vote, but it's not a vote unless they have a real choice. To me, a real choice is getting our legislature to change to allow the council manager form of government. So that if our citizens decide to go to strong mayor and say, whoops, we screwed up, they can come back. To me, that's all I'm asking. Let's go down that road. That should be our energy. Legislature, please change this. Why is it that generally states that truly believe in local citizenry, empowering the local citizenry, why is it that they predominantly follow the council manager form of government? I'm talking about Virginia, North Carolina, Texas, Oklahoma. These cities are predominantly council manager form of government. And here's Utah that claims to be that we love local power. It's not on our books. Let's fix it. That's what we should be fixing. The ballot initiative is way out of line for me. I'm willing to go down this road. I've expressed that to several of you. Once we get this legislative fix, let's get that fixed in there, and then let's go down this road. Because then the populace has a real voice. They can say, yeah, that's a valid way we can go later. Or we can go down the strong mayor form, and then we can come back if we want. But right now, that's not even a choice. You can't come back. So I'll just end it with that. For me, it's just not a choice. I would not support this measure until we get the legislative fix.
Councilmember Anderson.
I think I'm the only one that hasn't spoken, and I have had this on my mind for an extremely long time since I saw the agenda. And I think it's pretty common knowledge that I've not been up here on previous debates, and so I kind of see myself as, I kind of see where I'm at. And it's been extremely heavy on me. I have talked to, I think, pretty much all of you. It has come up 4 times, and I'm still unsure. I do believe the public should have a right to vote. I would like to gain residents' input on what they would like to do. And it has come up 4 times. This is the first time as myself being on the council, but the other times I was a resident. And so I'm very torn. I have in a previous employment worked in both forms of government, and I have seen council manager forms be very effective. I have seen strong mayor forms be very effective. So the question in my mind that I'm really battling is, how do we get off dead center, which is how I feel. Those are my feelings. And so I think each of you brought up very good points. And like I said, this is something that I have been, it's almost been incessant besides work, wondering how this should go and what I feel is best for the city. And so that is my comment. I failed to say thank you, Mayor, for allowing me to speak.
Thank you. Without a motion on the table, I just want to state the obvious for the record. Should this ballot measure be put on the ballot in November and it passes, it has no effect on the current term or the future mayor's term. It would not change the form of government until after another vote. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to start with this before I even spoke because I didn't want you to relate to my comment. I received a text tonight, and this person asked me to share it, so I apologize. This is not me. This comes from Joel Coleman. Joel Coleman is, he was not able to attend tonight because he was attending the State of the State with his wife, Representative Coleman. And he has strong feelings on this subject. And he just asked one question. He said, will you please speak for me, he was talking to me, will you please speak for me and put it all on the record, including my strong request to form a non-biased group to study the issue before having a resolution. Thank you.
Councilmember Burton.
Thank you, each of you who have spoken on this. Councilman Nichols, I appreciate your comments and your information there. Probably my largest driving factor is I think the top person in the city should be an elected official, and I have been able to participate in these discussions even when I was in the audience a couple years ago. I've heard this come up in the past, so thank you for showing that and your consistency there. With that, I move to approve Resolution 17-18, authorizing the ballot measure to change the form of government to the council mayor form to the 7-member council.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Burton and a second by Councilmember Haga. Discussion to the motion. Councilmember Haga.
So it takes courage to stand up for those who elected you, and that's what I'm hoping this council will do. That there are going to be people opposed. There's going to be people for this, and it might come down to like some of your races where it might just be 20 votes. It might be 2 votes. But in the end, it's the vote that counts. So again, let's focus not on, yeah, we have a great city, we have a great staff, it's functionable, but I know with a mayor that can walk up to, and I can see this because I've seen it with other cities, and make CEO decisions as an elected official. Businesses, developers weigh that heavier than a city manager who's very, very talented. Don't get me wrong, we have a great city manager that has to get 4 people. Always has to be 4 people up here to approve whatever our city manager initiatives are. A mayor can make a deal, So, but again, I'm about let the residents decide. Let us all talk. Let's all debate. But let's send this to the ballot and the polls and let them decide. We're not all knowing, so that would be my only last comment. I'm a proponent. I'll second this. Hope it passes.
Let's vote.
Councilmember Jacob?
No.
Councilmember McConaughey?
No.
Councilmember Burton?
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson?
I'm going to vote yes for one reason only, and that is I want input from the residents so that we can move forward.
Councilmember Haga?
Yes.
Councilmember Nichols?
No.
Mayor Ralph?
Yes.
The vote passes 4-3.
Consent item 6D, approved resolution 17-10, authorizing the mayor to sign an abrogation easement with Salt Lake City Corporation for the airspace above and over the new Public Works complex.
Mayor?
You please, yes.
If I may, since we're just a minute and a half away from our 9 o'clock time, I would move that we allow the meeting to extend to resolve the remaining consent items.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember McConaughey, a second by Councilmember Jacob. Discussion to the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It's extended to complete the meeting. Councilmember Hagan, you pulled this item.
Yeah, so more questions. I did talk to the city manager, informed me some of the facts. I just wanted to try to understand a little bit clearer on what we're doing. Because for 30 years, plus years that I've lived here, Salt Lake City has never talked to us before, and all of a sudden now we're giving airspace away, and I don't understand it, you know. Is it an FAA decision that is required? We have one that sits on the FAA, or works for them. Is it an FAA requirement that we allow planes over our public works building? I'm still unclear why we're giving Salt Lake permission when we're, for the last 30 plus years, been trying to earn this airport back. So if there's no answer, I'll oppose this, but if there's a good answer, I'll answer.
Council? Councilmember McConaughey.
Move to approve consent item 6D.
Second.
A motion by Councilmember McConaughey, a second by Councilmember Jacob. Discussion to the motion? Seeing none, let's vote.
Councilmember Anderson?
Yes.
Councilmember Jacob?
Aye.
Mayor Ralph?
Yes.
Councilmember Nichols?
Yes.
Councilmember Burton?
Yes.
Councilmember Haga?
No.
Councilmember McConaughey?
Aye.
The vote passes 6-1 in favor.
Consent item 6E, approved resolution 17-11, authorizing the mayor to execute a local government contract between the UDOT, West Jordan City, and ACOM Technical Services Incorporated for the construction engineering management for 7800 South, 1300 West project in an amount not to exceed $73,725.69. Councilmember Hagan.
Yeah, I just wanted, again, just maybe a brief on what this is about exactly, Wendell, this item.
Dave will answer this one.
Mayor and Council, thank you. Councilmember Hagan, this is for construction management services that's required under federal aid when we have federal monies attached to a project. The amount on the contract is, on face value, is 93% federal money, 7% ours, unless we go over our project budget that's roughly about $500,000 for the intersection improvements. So that's where this is at, and it is a requirement that somebody besides the design engineer is actually the construction management engineering during the project.
Thank you. I move to approve.
I'll second. We have a motion by Councilmember Haga, a second by Councilmember Burton. Discussion to the motion? Let's vote.
Councilmember Haga?
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson?
Yes.
Councilmember McConaughey? Councilmember Jacob?
Aye.
Councilmember Nichols?
Yes.
Mayor Wall?
Yes.
Councilmember Burton?
Yes.
Vote passes 7 in favor.
Before we go to the last item, I have one question, follow-up question for Dave Murphy. If you could step to the microphone. I know that last year we got approved for $6 million of the $9 million that's required for the widening of 13th West. And I know this is our project with funds associated, but could you just, well, I've got you here in front of the council, could you just give an update on where we are with that last $3 million so we get 13th West all the way through the Tri-City area improved?
We will have to re-request federal aid monies and probably do it jointly with the state, who was the co-sponsor, and also the city of Taylorsville. We'll have to go back to Wasatch Front one more time for the other $3 million. We have not yet asked for that extra authorization because we're not into the $6 million first for what's going to happen probably in about 2 years on that road. That's where we're at on concept development phase and design phases with the money that's already been authorized. So we're probably trailing the request by 1 more year, and that money will come in behind the $6 million that's already been approved. So that'll be a staggered request, and usually and normally Wasatch Front, when they see projects that are only half or 2/3 funded, they'll usually grant that other request, but we have to basically wait our time frame here to move the project that has the $6 million out of the concept development years and actually into the construction years. And this year is one of those first construction years, but we're still 2 years away from the financial authorization for actually starting. So that's kind of where we're at. We're a year away from another request, going through letters of intent and so forth, and then we'll go ahead and resequence that other money in behind the $6 million.
Thank you for that explanation. Appreciate it. Final item, consent item J, approve resolution 17-19 authorizing the mayor to execute a 4-year agreement with Gold Cross Services, Inc. to provide inter-facility ambulance transfer services for medical providers located within the city. I had 2 requests to pull that. Councilmember Jacob.
Thank you, Mayor. I just was wanting to get a little bit of a better and public explanation on this, just so we can make sure the discussion is on the record. When we originally discussed this, in previous conversations, I thought the agreement was going to be with the hospital, not with Gold Cross. So I was just wondering how we got to where we are. Whoever wants to take that.
Thank you, Councilmember Jacob. The wording might be a little bit off on what's on your agenda. The reason we're signing an agreement with Gold Cross, they currently are in possession of an inter-facility license. The city is in application period right now for our 911 license. That will be granted at the end of February. For us to respond to the request by the business, Jordan Valley Medical Center, we reached out to Gold Cross to work out that we would be taking those transports and they would still be doing their regular business of transports for other medical providers in the city. So what this agreement will allow us to do is to do the transfers from Jordan Valley Medical Center. Gold Cross will continue to do other ones in our city.
Okay, if I may. So the agreements with Gold Cross, there's things about the ambulances from Gold Cross being housed in our fire stations, and just if you could go into.
The second part to this is it's new concept for us, but not in the Salt Lake County Valley. Sandy City's done this, and another city down south. It's more of a public-private partnership with Gold Cross, and in the second part, what the contract allows, they will staff one of their ambulances in our fire station next door, and we will be able to utilize them for certain calls that might be a lower level of an emergency, keeping our paramedic units in service for more critical calls. We'll also utilize them to respond on fire calls, which will free up some of our firefighters to actually do firefighting. As we go through that process and see how it works, the contract is written in a way that if that doesn't work out, we're not committed to it. We can cancel that. But I think it's a worthwhile project to partner with them and see how that works. What it does for us is potentially it puts off for our call command to have to hire more staff.
Okay, and just one last question, is there a revenue component to this versus an expense component? Have we got a financial impact?
There's zero expense. So in your budget that you approved for this year, we did put in to hire some part-time people. Since this has taken us until February, basically, to get it approved and going, we've not expended any of those funds. We'll be doing this starting in about a week and a half if you so approve it tonight, and get an idea of what the impact is on the call volume, and then we'll evaluate if we're going to need to hire any other staff. So right now there will be no more, other than the equipment we purchased, no more expenditure. The revenue side of it, if you want a number, off the top of my head, probably 100 to 150,000 between now and July.
Thank you.
Councilmember McConaughey.
Thank you, Mayor. For what it's worth, I was a volunteer with Sandy Fire Department during the years 2010, 2011, and they had a very, very similar agreement. I was frequently stationed in a fire station that had a Gold Cross ambulance in there, and it worked very, very well. It was very beneficial to both, so I'm in support of this. Thank you.
Councilmember Hagan.
Yeah, I was just wanting to bring it out to public because this is a awesome job as far as negotiation. I know I think it's probably 2 or 3 years of working, so I move we approve consent item J as on consent item. Authorize the mayor for your agreement with Gold Cross Services to provide inter-facility ambulance transfer service for medical providers located within the city.
Second. A motion by Councilmember Haga, a second by Councilmember Burton. Discussion of the motion. Let's vote.
Councilmember McConaughey?
Aye.
Councilmember Burton?
Yes.
Councilmember Haga?
Yes.
Mayor Rolfe?
Yes.
Councilmember Jacob?
Aye.
Councilmember Anderson?
Yes.
Councilmember Nichols?
Yes.
The vote passes 7 in favor.
I need a motion to move to a closed session for the discussion of character, professional competence, or physical or mental health of an individual, strategy session to discuss pending or reasonably imminent litigation, strategy sessions to discuss purchase, exchange, or lease of real property, including any form of a water right or water share. And we will adjourn from there.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Jacob, a second by Councilmember Burton. Discussion of the motion? Let's vote.
Mayor Rolfe?
Yes.
Councilmember Haga?
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson?
Yes.
Councilmember Nichols?
Yes.
Councilmember McConaughey?
Aye.
Councilmember Burton?
Yes.
Councilmember Jacob?
Aye.
The vote passes 7 in favor.